is Bettor Sports Live.
Late in the first, 14 of the Vikings, empty backfield, left tackle move, no flag. Here's a throw in the end zone, caught. Wow. Line drive, throw in the middle, it's caught for a touchdown. Hodgins, a 14-yard laser thrown by quarterback Daniel Jones.
They get the play off, back to throw. Here's a toss near left sideline for Metcalf. Got it at the 15, 10-5, touchdown Seattle. What a rainbow throw by Geno Smith. That's a 50-yard touchdown pass.
This is Bettor Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Network.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boys, Rick Kamla, Johnny VTV. Lisa Ann is off. She'll be back next Wednesday. And JVTV, it is good to see you, my brother. Let's have some fun over the next 3 hours. Let's give the people some winners. Let's have some laughs, man.
Dude, it's so great to see you. It's been a little while. Happy to be filling in for LA. You can't replace LA, though, so we love you. We miss you. Hope you're having a great trip, and we'll see you next week. But tonight, bro, we got some business, so let's get after it. A lot to do.
We sure do, man. We sure do. We got NBA going on tonight. Obviously, the college basketball tournaments are going on right now, the conference tournaments. But let's dive in with some NBA. Prop bets. Ricky Props up in here. I've got one side for you, Johnny VTV. I know you've got a couple of futures on the NBA that, and I definitely want to talk with you about quickly. We'll get to that in a second. And I want to let everybody know, we got your full, you heard the highlights right there. We're going to talk about Danny Dimes getting paid. We're going to talk about Geno Smith getting paid. Lamar Jackson sweepstakes are on. The new Hopkins sweepstakes are on. We're getting to all of that, man, with my boy, Johnny VTV. So, JVTV, let me bounce these props off you. We got to be quick with this one because the Hawks and Wizards tip off in about 8 minutes. I got Kyle Kuzma over 21.5 points tonight, minus 115. He's been over this number in 3 of the last 4 and 5 of the last 8. He's a plus 1.2 with his scoring average at home at 22.1. In March, he's averaging 23 a game. And in the first meeting with Atlanta, he had 28. And Atlanta does not defend either the small forward position or the power forward position well. So JVTV got an early prop to bounce off you, brother. I got Kuz over 21.5. Do I have your blessing?
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes, especially a guy like Kuzma, but the NBA in general, it seems to be it's a game of runs. There tends to be a lot of guys that are streaky. And, you know, when you're on a hot streak, it's pressing it like blackjack. You got to cash in and you got to try and ride the wave as long as you can. And, you know, sometimes you're going to be on the wrong side of it and you're going to catch the train the other way, but try and ride that out. So as long as Kuzma's cooking like he is, then you got to just jump on it and stay with it.
Kuz is cooking. We'll ride the hot hand here tonight on that. Okay, I got 2 more for you, Johnny VTV, 2 more props. And I usually go more. I planned on doing more and vetted my whole process, and I came up with 3, guys. There aren't that many games tonight. Usually I go with about 5, but I'm not going to reach and give you wagers that I don't believe in. So it's a condensed night. It's a 3 prop night. And this one's a little bit later. I believe an 8 o'clock game. Kyrie Irving at the New Orleans Pelicans. Over 26.5 points, minus 125. You just said it, Johnny VTV. I'm riding the hot hand here. He's been over this number in 3 straight, going for 40, 30, and 33. And I've noticed something with Kyrie. He has now put the throttle down after easing into the beginning of his Dallas career. You know, new team, new teammates, new surroundings, easing in a little bit. He's settled in now, and he's going for it. He's not really worried about – it's not like he's being a bog, but he's not worried about – oh, I got to, no, he's hunting shots now. He's Kyrie Irving now. In the last 3 games, he's taken 22 shots, 19 shots, and 18 shots. And those are shots. And we got to get over 26.5 points tonight. He's a plus 2.9 points per game on the road because that's what stars do. They go on the road and they shine. And Kyrie certainly falls in that category, averaging 28.8 on the road this year, Johnny VTV. So I got a Kyrie vibe tonight at the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, so Kyrie Irving, I mean, the talent was never been the question. This guy's been a high recruited prospect out of high school. Even before he went to St. Patrick, he was at MKA. Me and him have a lot of people in common up in North Jersey. And, you know, I remember hearing about him in his younger days, and it's translated into the NBA. I mean, this kid is a bona fide killer. You know, it's always the off-the-court stuff that we're hearing about Kyrie and not his actual talent, which he is one of the most talented or was at his peak in the NBA. in terms of overall players. And now he kind of goes to a market where there's not as much attention on the Dallas Mavericks. Now he can kind of settle in and not worry about the surrounding noise of all the stuff that's been going on with him, and he could just play ball. And this guy's still got a lot left in the tank if he focuses, which he has been. So definitely Kyrie Irving. That's a superstar. And, I like to ride the superstar. So I'm with you on that one.
It's a modest number too. Luka's at 31.5. I feel like that's a setup for failure. I feel like 26.5 for Kyrie is a really targetable number for us. And then lastly here, Johnny BTV, and this is late night. Pascal Siakam at the Clippers, over 22.5 points, -120. The Clippers allowed the second most points to the power forward position. In the first meeting with the Clippers, Siakam had 36. On the road, he's averaging 24. He's been under in 4 consecutive games, but he's majorly due for a breakout game here. And he is still the number one heavy hitter on the Toronto Raptors. This is all about matchup, Johnny BTV. And this is my the first thing I bet when looking into these props. And I got the board, right? I got the games. And then I go through the matchups. And I'm looking at point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. And I go through the categories. And I'm looking at which teams give up the most goodies to these positions. That's literally where I start. That's where I'm rooted in all of this. And then I bet it from there, whether it's a home road split, how does he do against this opponent, all that kind of stuff. And like I said, through that betting process, we only have 3 tonight. 3 made it through the filter. But Pascal Siakam, I do like the principle of due. I also like riding a hot hand, but this is about matchups. The Clippers get shredded point-wise by every power forward they play, and Siakam is a shredder. So that's what I'm rocking with, Johnny BTV.
Yeah, I mean, Pascal Siakam, he's a force, man. He's a physically gifted dude. And, I love the fact that you point out the do factor. I'm a big proponent of the do factor myself. So sometimes you have to feel it. You have to anticipate a good matchup and, how good of a player is. You have to evaluate it. And sometimes you just got to be bucking the trend, like where he's been going under a lot. Maybe you got to go on the over here. And I think certainly you have a good look on this one.
So Johnny BTV is in here with your boy Cam. He's in for Lisa Ann on Bettor Sports Live. And then I got one side for you, Johnny BTV. And again, you're my boy, man. You're always like on Thursday night, whenever we have you on, and we talk, I don't really like Thursday night football and all this kind of stuff. And I don't disagree with you, but I kind of feel like that about this slate in the NBA tonight. It's just not that good. It's a Wednesday night. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Really, we only have 7 games on a Wednesday. See, just right there, 7 games. Usually on a Wednesday, we have 10, 11, 12. And a lot of the lines, they just, This is the bang-on spot for us tonight. Phoenix at home, -13.5 against Oklahoma City. This is Kevin Durant's home debut. Going to be electric, the whole thing. Phoenix is 3-0 with Durant, mostly clobbering their opponents. Phoenix is dominant at home, 21-10 at home. That number is going to get even better now that they have Durant. And then OKC is terrible on the road, 11-19. And here's really the thing, Johnny BTV. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played last night. He's not playing tonight. Load management, blah, blah, blah. Jalen Williams, their star rookie, is not playing tonight. So Oklahoma City has Josh Giddey against the world at the Phoenix Suns. This is not going to work out. And the Thunder are in the second of a back-to-back. Johnny BTV, maybe you want to go to DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever your service is, and look at an alt point spread here. I think Phoenix beats the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight by more than 20 points. I think it is going to be an evisceration. So I'm not worried about the 13.5.
At that point, yeah, like if you're laying that big number, you might as well try some value. I think we've seen the ability in the NBA for things to get out of hand, especially when there's teams with 2 different ends of a talent spectrum. And, the bright spots for the Oklahoma City Thunder are on the bench tonight. And, you get a team like Phoenix who just gets Kevin Durant. And not only was Phoenix a great team before that, but then, and they add this talent, this legendary Hall of Fame talent in Kevin Durant, but it also rejuvenates them mentally, not just on the court. And it's like, okay, we have Durant. We're going to be invincible. We're going to be like how the Golden State Warriors were 5 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was, when we picked up KD. And, this is the time where a team like Phoenix, they have to start peaking right now. they have to start heating up heading into the playoffs. They got to start locking up their seeding, and they have to secure a good matchup. But most importantly, they got to make sure that they're playing good basketball. So we're getting Kevin Durant in a home opener tonight for the Suns. Like you said, it's going to be electric. This is a time where you pounce on a big alt spread because Phoenix should put it on OKC.
Johnny BTV, talk to me about Emmanuel quickly. We were talking right before we came on the air here. You got a future on Emmanuel quickly, the guard for the New York Knicks. Then I want to transition into some NFL news here. Hit me with your future on Quick.
Quickly, baby. So earlier this week or late last week, I can't remember, honestly. The days are all blending together, but I took Quickly. I had him at 42-1, and then I waited like 20 minutes too soon. I checked back in. It's down to 39-1 or 40-1. I can't remember. I'm like, okay, I got to fire on it.
Six man of the year?
6 man of the year. I was like, oh, I got to fire on it. Like I was seeing all the trends and the movement. This guy was 200-1 or 250-1 on February 24th. I mean, did this guy cure cancer between now and then to constitute that kind of a move? And, you know, I think anybody who follows betting can say that the NBA is probably the softest futures prices. It's the most dramatic movement of all the main sports in the futures awards markets. So a guy like Emmanuel Quickly, who's not only playing out of his mind, he drops 38 in Boston. That's a narrative game. That's a big game to get the Knicks in position right now with Jalen Brunson playing so well additionally. But Quickly's got the narrative playing in a New York team. We've seen what that does to the voting. Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year this year when he had no business, when it should have been Kyle Shanahan's award. Why did he win? Because he coaches for the New York Giants, actually New Jersey Giants. But Quickly, man, it was such a great bet. And now he's down to minus 165 in some spots. I'm happy I got a piece on him. I actually tried to double dip a little bit more after I got that 40-1. I tried to get him at like 15-1, but I waited like 5 minutes before the tip-off started for that day, and it was gone. It was already cut in half the next time I was able to bet it. So Quickly is somebody that I'm really looking at. And then one more I have, Greek Freak. Defensive Player of the Year, got him down at 35-1. He's sitting at 19-1. The issue there is you just want to make sure he's not in too much contention for the MVP, you know, with Nikola Jokic. You want to make sure that guys like Brook Lopez and JJJ aren't going to be taking away from Greek Freak, even though his number's coming down. So those are my two biggest wagers right now for the NBA futures.
So it looks like Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to win that award. It's not locked up. It's not in the bank yet. Giannis is there for that. Brook Lopez is there for that. Giannis is, frankly, gaining ground on Nikola Jokic. But I want to go back to the Quickly prop that you have. Your odds are absolutely phenomenal, first of all. And he is now the prohibitive favorite. Malcolm Brogdon, I mean, heck, at one point, you go back a month, Russell Westbrook was, I don't know, minus 160, whatever it was. And then I went to Brogdon, and now it's Quickly. So you hit it on the head. And it's kind of annoying for a guy from middle America, but that New York bias thing is so real. Okay. Should Emmanuel Quickly be the sixth man of the year? Does he deserve it? Let me get to that in a moment. I see this, Johnny B. TV, with let's say it's a New York Yankee or New York Met prospect, and he's coming up and there's hype about him, and you look at the waiver wire in your fantasy baseball league and who is first on the list, who's got the most ads for that day in baseball. It's the hotshot prospect for the Yankees or the Mets, right? It's sexy. It's New York. There's a bunch of people in that market. And like, I like to go the other way on that. That's just New York being New York. That doesn't mean this guy is all that in a bag of chips. Then you get a Pete Alonso and you say, okay, it was not just the New York thing. To me, this is just the New York thing. I think Malcolm Brogdon is the sixth man of the year. And Johnny B. TV, I don't have any bread on Brogdon. I hope you win. I hope Quickly wins that bet for you. But objectively, and we're talking here, I just went on a short here on Bettor Sports Network a day or two ago and was like, what? Since when did Emmanuel Quickly just vault past Malcolm Brogdon? Malcolm Brogdon and the Celtics are 6 games better in the standings. Brogdon has scored more points. He has assisted more. He has a way better shooting percentage split across the board, all 3 shooting categories. So Johnny B. TV, you're my boy. I want you to win this one. But I'm kind of like, why, how, what the F? in terms of quickly just vaulting past Brogdon. And we know what the F. It's New York money coming in and a bunch of Knicks fans getting really hot and bothered about their guy quickly.
I mean, listen, it is really bizarre. Believe me, I couldn't believe. I was even mad that I didn't get him last week, and I was looking at it, and this guy was 200 to 1, 250 to 1 on February 24th. If depending on what book, of course, what I was seeing on Twitter, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I'm going to count myself lucky. I still managed to get the 40 to 1, but the dramatic price drop in that short of time is very strange. New York or not, to me, that is just something that is, it's a little fugazi, but at the same time, this is how futures betting works. And, I hate to say it, but it's kind of comparing something like a Geno Smith. Like, why is this guy winning it? What has he really done to deserve it? It's so narrative based. That's what this award calls for a lot of the times. And, futures awards, it's a narrative. How's he playing? And you look how quickly he's been doing. He's putting up good numbers. And, you got to consider this fact here as well. Jalen Brunson was also in the same boat for the MIP, and his number came down aggressively in a short period of time because it was mispriced. And the fact is, Brunson's kind of plateaued a little bit, and there's likely a chance that two Knicks aren't going to win an award in the same season, so somebody's got to get it. And the fact is, Lauri Markkanen's probably going to be the most improved player of the year. So the Knicks have to get something, and it's probably going to be the sixth man of the year. I mean, especially if Quickly's playing the way he is, the Knicks, especially in a year where they're the best they've been in maybe a decade to this point, they have to get something. They cannot go home empty-handed.
You and I both agree it was garbage that Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year. I would have picked Shanahan above him. I would have picked Sirianni above him. I mean, he was 2 games over 500. Like first half Coach of the Year, okay. Whole season Coach of the Year was not Daboll. But here's the thing. Like, we talk about this New York either bias or weight or whatever, it tips the scales, all this kind of stuff. Why did that matter so much in terms of Daboll winning Coach of the Year? We have voters on that award that are all around the country, right? Like, Shanahan with 3 different quarterbacks, how many games did they win at the end of the year, Johnny VTV? 10, 11, 12? Something like that? I mean, my God, he walked on water this year as a coach.
Who, Shanahan?
Yes. Yeah.
So they were 13-4. They finished the season on a 10-game win streak. Obviously, with his third quarterback, and people are going to be like, oh, well, he's got such a great roster. Yeah, he does. He is one of the best rosters in football. But at the same time, I think a lot of the success has to do with his scheming. I mean, you get guys like Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, like, they're freaks of nature, but he turned them into what they are. I mean, he is one of the best offensive schemers, at least in probably the last 20 years, maybe if not of all time. So I understand what people are trying to say in that regard with the narrative, but nobody operates a run game like Shanahan does with his own run game. That's why every running back has found success. Then you go look at other guys that leave that San Francisco system. They don't carry it over. And, I just think a lot of it is baloney, but it's, a lot of it has to do with this New York bias, and Brian Daboll shouldn't have won. I'm very upset. I'm very upset. I still haven't gotten over it. I see his grin in my sleep.
It's not good, but that's Johnny VTV, and he's very good at what he does, and I'm psyched to have him along for the ride here. He's in for Lisa Ann tonight. We're Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network, and let's talk some of these moves in football, Johnny VTV. There's a couple ways to look at it. Either the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes are on, or all Baltimore is doing is letting him go out and establish market value so that they can match this on this non-exclusive franchise tag, where Jackson can negotiate with other teams with a guaranteed salary of $32.4 million. The Ravens will be able to match any offer and that Jackson gets, or if they're like, all right, cool, bye, then they get 2 first-round picks back for their efforts. I like this move by Baltimore because, Johnny VTV, we are not going to be able to come to terms with this guy. He's up here, we're down here, second off season in a row. I'm over it. I don't want to deal with it anymore, okay? We're putting the non-exclusive franchise tag on you, and we are going to get resolution one way or the other. Either you're going to get paid on a number we want, or you are going to be on another team, and we will have 2 future first-round picks. I love this move by Baltimore. Their general manager, Eric DeCosta, released a statement saying the ultimate goal is to build a championship team with Lamar Jackson leading the way for many years to come. Okay. I would do an obscene gesture to let you know how sarcastically not with that I am, but but I don't want to do that. But I'm not buying that at all. Okay. I think the goal here is to set the market value on Lamar. And if it's low enough, they'll bite on it. And if not, they're going to cast him adrift and have 2 future first-round picks. So which way do you think here? And by the way, Johnny BTV, I've been saying throughout the offseason, I would trade Lamar Jackson if I were Baltimore. Okay. He can't complete a season. He can't really complete passes to wide receivers or running backs, only his tight end. He's a phenomenal runner, one of the greatest we've ever seen, but I don't feel like I can win a Super Bowl with this guy. I don't even feel like I can get to a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. So I'm ready to move on to what's next. Where are you at with this? And then we'll get into some of the teams that said no to him and what the hell that means.
This is so bizarre. And I've seen Twitter been set afire the last 2 days talking about it. I think with Lamar Jackson, and you kind of we're in lockstep with this because I don't know if you remember, I've been coming on talking with you for a while, and I went on other shows and I talked about that. I don't think Lamar Jackson is that good of a quarterback. Like a pocket passer, he's made improvements. He's made a lot of improvements from a couple years ago to last year to this year. But there's still too many times where I find myself saying, how does he miss wide open receivers like that? And like he just misses throws. They're not on the mark. And other times he looks like, okay, he's made tremendous strides, but overall, this guy's a dynamic playmaker. That's what he is. And, that's where his weaponry comes into play. Even though I don't think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback or even a Super Bowl making quarterback, this position doesn't grow on trees. And, what are you going to do? Let him go? I mean, you could do that, but who are you going to get? You could get as many first-round picks as you want, but the chances are that you're going to get a guy who's going to come in and take you to a Super Bowl on a rookie contract is few and far between. And the Baltimore Ravens defense, it's not what it was. It's good, but they have a lot of older guys now. They're not a younger defense anymore. They do draft well, but there's still a lot of question marks. You lose Wink Martindale, which I didn't like that move. Their offense doesn't have a lot of playmakers. You don't re-sign Hollywood Brown. And I don't think Lamar Jackson's actually had a fair shake, if I'm being honest, because every time they have a weapon, they don't keep it. They don't build the offense around him. And I understand what Baltimore is doing here, but I do think there maybe is some collusion going on. Nobody wants this guy. He seems like he's a good kid. Like he seems like a guy who you would want in your locker room. He's a team leader. He's very respectful. He's a guy the kids look up to. You sell a lot of jerseys, you sell a lot of tickets. There has to be something going on, maybe other than trying to not let him reset the market to try and keep some control financially with this guy not being signed. Nobody's taking a nibble on him. I don't understand it.
Well, I think, you hit on possible collusion. That could be it. And we can add, I just wanted to verify something here real quick, that we can take the Raiders off of the maybe list for Lamar Jackson. So the Dolphins through Jeff Darlington of ESPN. It's like criminals all spread out and they all got their story straight. I mean, obviously that's a euphemism here, but it was pretty amazing how the Lamar Jackson news comes out about the non-exclusive franchise tag. Boom, 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 boom. All of these reports immediately about these teams that might want Lamar or could use him, don't want him. Okay. Miami. And that didn't surprise me. They have Tua. They're going to give him 1 more year at least. ESPN reports the Commanders are not likely to pursue Lamar Jackson. They would be a team that would make sense to do that. Sam Howell continues to get shade thrown at him by Ron Rivera. Who the hell knows what the Commanders want to do at that position? The Panthers, the freaking Panthers have said no to Lamar Jackson. Who the hell are the Panthers to say no to Lamar Jackson? Of course, they should be in on Lamar Jackson. The Atlanta Falcons, through Diana Rossini, have said they're out on Lamar Jackson. I don't understand this, okay? That city wants the second coming of Michael Vick so bad. I know this. I lived there 11 years. Lamar Jackson would be a godlike figure in Atlanta, okay? For the love of God, make it happen. They're not going to. They don't want him, okay? And then the Raiders, because I believed all along that the Raiders are going to get Jimmy Garoppolo. But I also didn't really know that Lamar Jackson would be budgeable. I thought he may be franchise tagged or re-signed by Baltimore. Well, now we can see a path to him not being a Raven. Not, he may be a Raven, he may not, but we can actually see the path to him not being on their team. But the Raiders don't want Lamar Jackson. And so are you getting the feeling that Aaron Rodgers is going to the Raiders? I'm not. I get the feeling that Aaron Rodgers is going to the Jets, and I felt that way all along. So why are the Raiders saying no to Lamar Jackson, Johnny VTV? Why are the Falcons saying no to Lamar Jackson?
I don't know. That's a good question, because I think maybe possibly what we could see is some teams, and I could be wrong about this, some of the teams that are interested, maybe there are a handful of teams, but they're all saying, oh, we're not interested, because as soon as somebody's interested, you know how it works. If somebody's interested, then another team might be like, oh, you know what? We're kind of interested too. We're going to drive the price up on them. So everybody might want to keep this quiet, and then somebody swoop in under the radar and get them at maybe a cut rate. So, I've been a Falcons fan since I was a little kid. I've been a Falcons fan for about 20 years, and I loved Michael Vick. I really did. But this team needs a quarterback. And like Desmond Ridder, I don't know if he's the answer. And, maybe you give him a shot, but what you do know is you get Lamar Jackson on this roster with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Tyler Algier, maybe a couple of other guys you drafted in an Arthur Smith offense that lives to run the ball, run with the quarterback, that read option, that kind of thing. He would thrive there. He would be a boost for this team. And not for nothing, I think it should be the NFC teams that should go after him, because the NFC is so wide open. And if you look at it, which teams do you really think are capable of contending, especially if Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay? It's probably going to be the Eagles, the Niners, maybe one other NFC West team if, LA keeps all their chips in place, or maybe Seattle gets it together a little bit more. And then it would be whichever team gets Lamar. I mean, I don't understand why that wouldn't happen. I think there's probably something bigger going on here. This maybe it is collusion. Maybe people don't want to overpay for this guy. But at the end of the day, just because I don't think Lamar's going to win a Super Bowl, I don't think many quarterbacks are capable of winning a Super Bowl in this league.
Great point.
I really don't. So I'm not going to single Lamar out because, you know what? I don't think he's going to win. Like, I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to win a Super Bowl.
I don't think Derek Carr's going to win a Super Bowl, right?
I don't either. But like what I'm saying is it's very rare to get a guy of Lamar Jackson's caliber, let alone at the quarterback position. So it would be strange to not go get this guy. First round picks don't matter necessarily. How many picks turn out to be something in that part of the draft?
50%.
It's not many, especially at the quarterback position. I don't think there's a sure thing in this draft. Everybody's fell in love with Anthony Richardson because of his combine. It was kind of how like DK Metcalf was. People were quiet on him, but then once he shows out at the combine, people are all over him. But I think Anthony Richardson is kind of like what Jalen Hurts was. And I think maybe in the right system, he could profile as that, but that guy can't even complete 56% at the college level. So, there's a lot of holes, and I think Lamar Jackson has shown enough where he deserves to be the starting quarterback on a lot of teams and make money. He is an MVP. That's the matter of fact, and I would think it's bizarre. I mean, he's probably going to end up with Baltimore if I had to guess, but I could see a team like Atlanta coming in and getting him, or even Miami, because it's very, very bizarre.
So
I'll tell you one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I think a lot of teams may have not shut the door on Tom Brady either. I think that is a possibility. I feel like there are teams that are sitting there saying what I think. I don't believe Tom Brady's retired until it's week 1 and he's not on the field. So maybe there's paths for some of these squads to get him out of retirement for 1 year, 50 mil, 2 years, 90 mil, something like that. So possibly that could be in play as well, especially for a team like the Dolphins.
Or the Raiders. It's a good point, Johnny BTV, because I thought that they ditched Carr to get Brady. And I still believe that. There was reporting the Raiders wanted Tom Brady. Tom Brady retired. Lisa Ann hit us with great intel. that I was like, Brady's going to the Raiders. She's like, no, he's not, because he doesn't want to be 2 time zones away or 3 time zones away from his children. Well, that ended up being true. Of course, until, like you said, maybe the draw of the NFL, that magnetic pull, pulls him out of the time zone that his children are in. Who knows? I think Brady's retired, but who the hell knows, man? I want to come back.
Real quick, there was a story that I tweeted out from a source of mine. It all went to hell after the Brian Flores thing. Tom Brady was going to become part owner of the Dolphins from my source, who would know very well. And that's why I think he chose to stay in Tampa, because after that whole mess with Miami, and I don't think he wanted to deal with that. So I think he was going to be an owner and still play quarterback for them. So I don't think that dream's off the table. I could still see him if he doesn't get back under center, which I'm not ruling out. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what he says. Tom Brady's selfishness is too much. He can't sit still. He's not ready to hang it up. This guy gave up his entire family to come back for one more year just to lose to the Cowboys in an 8-9 season. I just think a competitor like that, the guy who's regarded as the greatest quarterback of all time, is not going to let his career end like that. He still has gas in the tank, I think. I didn't see too much physical decline to where he can't get under center. This guy, he doesn't have like a family anymore. This guy doesn't have much going on from what you can see. I just don't think he's ready to give it up. I think he will come out for another ride. He's always said he wanted to play till 50. I think maybe he's just kind of mulling his options, enjoying retirement for the second time in an off season. I wouldn't be surprised come April or May, he's going to be like, oh, well, you know what? Like, I'm cool. I'm going to come out to the Dolphins. If Miami pays me, maybe I get a part ownership. I could see it happening. I would not rule Tom Brady coming back out. I don't care what the reports say. This guy's selfishness is too much for him to overcome.
Johnny B. TV throwing it down here, leaving the door open for Tom Brady to come back. My God, the intrigue that would create in the NFL if that happened. We'll see, man. We'll see. But I want to take a break and come back. And you mentioned Anthony Richardson, all right? So I want to go down that road, and I'm going to link it to this whole Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. And then I want to play a little game with you, Johnny B. TV. And this is not in the rundown. This is drawn up in the dirt right here, because you just made an outstanding point about Lamar Jackson. And I fall into this trap, right? Okay. I don't believe he can win a Super Bowl. So, and I do hold it against him, right? And I'm not saying I don't hold it against other quarterbacks. I do. Kirk Cousins, anyone? Okay. But what I'm going to do here with you is we're going to go through the quarterbacks of the NFL. Okay. And we're going to talk about guys that literally can win the Super Bowl or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like Lamar, like Kirk Cousins. Maybe you think you can win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins, but we're going to go through all the QBs fast style and try to figure out how many quarterbacks can actually win the Super Bowl right now in the NFL. And I got an AR vibe to drop on you as well. With Johnny B. TV, I am Rick Kamla. We're Bettor Sports Live on Bettor Sports Network.
Talk sports with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Bettor Sports Network.
Let me say something about Tiger. Tiger has had to redesign his entire swing. Tiger has a difference in the length of his legs because of that horrible accident. In golf, there's no hey, you can't walk the greens. You have to take a cart. So I assumed by day 3 on Sunday, the inflammation would start. He took a couple breaks where they take care of his back a little bit. But it is fascinating watching him. So it gave me this thought, is he that skilled at golf? Or is this a mental thing of dedication and determination? He is so dedicated to the sport that no matter what, he's relentless to it. And the dedication and determination goes to the golf, the swing, the playing, the walking, but it goes to his overall health. The average person who doesn't stay in great shape, gets in an accident like that, goes through multiple surgeries, is not recovering and going out there to walk. And that course has some pretty steep inclines, a lot of walking. I mean, how else can you factor these athletes, the Michael Jordans, the LeBrons, these players that their whole focus is really optimal health, optimal body skills, and then what comes next is being the best at what they do.
I think you just hit on why Tiger still has that drive. I don't know this. I don't know the man. It could just be love of the game. It could be, I want to make as much money as I can while playing. Could be all this stuff. But LA, a lot of people think Tiger Woods is the GOAT of golf. And I don't understand how you can be the GOAT of golf when you are 3 majors short of Jack Nicklaus. Okay. So like LeBron, I don't think he cares what guys like me say anymore, right? He's past Kareem. He thinks he's the GOAT. I mean, he's third on my list. He's in the debate. Many other people think he's the GOAT. He's not my GOAT. You know what I mean? So I wonder if Tiger is there, like LeBron, like, I don't care what the pundits, what the barbershops say. I'm the GOAT. I don't have to do anything more. This is all gravy. I wonder if Tiger looks at it that way.
I don't know what Tiger's mindset is in the GOAT status, but when players talk about what it's like to be at a tournament, when Tiger's playing versus when he's not, they'll tell you that they're on the greens and they can hear the roar 4 holes over, and that there is nothing that compares to the excitement of when he's present.
Better Sports Live, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, exclusively on Better Sports Network. Or listen whenever you want on the app with BSN On Demand.
All right, we're back on Better Sports Live on Better Sports Network, and we are getting you ready for the upcoming baseball season with Better Baseball Preview, from fantasy baseball to MLB betting and the newest baseball cards for 2023. You can access our exclusive content for free right now at bettersports.com, featuring some of the sharpest baseball minds in the industry, like Adam Ronis, Ray Flowers, Kyle Elfrink, and Cody Decker. Get player profiles, prop bets, and future sleepers and busts, fantasy draft strategy, collectibles, and more at no cost. Register now at bettersports.com to get instant access plus notifications when new features are released. The Better Baseball Preview at bettersports.com. Check it out. I'm sure that is high quality content. Rick Kamla and Johnny Venezia, aka Johnny VTV, with you here on Better Sports Live. He is in for Lisa Ann tonight. And Johnny VTV, I had a revelation over the weekend watching the NFL Combine, okay? I am not typically a big Combine guy. There are examples, though, where the Combine is a big deal. And you mentioned one with DK Metcalf, okay? Jonathan Mingo is a guy that a lot of people don't know, okay? 6'2", 225. He came out of Ole Miss, and he also ran a very sharp, like 4.46 in the 40. I'm not saying Jonathan Mingo's the second coming of DK Metcalf, but I like him, and he's a very intriguing prospect, okay? And I bring those guys up because they were, to a degree, low-volume guys in college. It's easier to study a guy like Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Bijan Robinson, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, okay? Anthony Richardson is a small sample size college quarterback. He should be coming back for another year, all right? Of grooming, seasoning, all that kind of stuff. But if you have a chance to be the number 1 overall pick, clearly he's making the right move, right? And coming out and maximizing what he can get. But the point is, he's only played 1 year in college, and it was not that good of a year. He was electric on the ground. Johnny B said it, very limited through the air, threw a bunch of interceptions, and frankly was very, very underwhelming through the air. I thought he was going to be better, all right? I had pretty high expectations going into the college season on him. He did not realize them. Win-loss, or individual statistics, okay? So why does the Combine matter so much for Anthony Richardson? Because we have these little rules, right? Johnny B TV, you've got the Royal Mint, and I've got Go With The Woe, and we've just got these little rules and these little things that we use, okay? And one of my things is draft the freak. Hashtag draft the freak, okay? Just draft the freak. It's the NFL, okay? Maybe in baseball you don't draft the freak. Maybe in basketball, you don't draft the freak. But in football, the most athletic sport that we have on earth, draft the freak. Okay, Johnny B TV? So for Anthony Richardson to do the broad jump and to do the vertical leap and to run a 4.44 in the 40 and to be 6'3", 240 pounds or whatever it was, and to be able to make the throws that he made at the Combine. And again, usually it doesn't matter, but it matters for him because we haven't seen a lot of this stuff from him. He was in a very college-oriented, run-heavy offense in Florida. Now he's trying to make the transition to the NFL. So Johnny B TV, I went into Combine thinking that Hendon Hooker was third on the quarterback list over Anthony Richardson. I have now flipped that. Okay. Hendon Hooker's rehabbing a torn ACL. Anthony Richardson is flourishing as a freaking freak at the combine. I'm sorry, I had to flip that. And I'm not looking at Anthony Richardson as number one, like Bryce Young, number two, CJ Stroud, but he's number three. And Johnny V TV, Anthony Richardson has gone up for me having like a first or second round grade on him to he now has a full first round grade on him. And so this is an example where the combine is very, very important. What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, the combine is so important. I mean, it really can, for fringe guys, it could really make or break them. But then for guys where, you know, you have expectations, if you show out, then you could be like, oh, yeah, he's good, to like, wow, this is that kind of guy where we have to seriously consider. But if you've seen how aggressively his number to be the first overall pick has dropped, it's like on an Emmanuel Quickly type of level here. I think that's all smoke, to be honest. I think he will not be, and he has no business being the number one overall pick. I'm sorry. I think Richardson could be a very good quarterback. He has that Jalen Hurts type of trajectory on him. If he gets drafted to that kind of team with great trenches, some playmakers, and a good scheme, yes, I think Richardson could succeed in a couple of years. It would not shock me. But no, like, you got to have some kind of a polish, because at that point, listen, I understand Richardson, he had an unreal combine. He is like Derrick Henry, but he throws absolute rockets. But that doesn't mean it's going to translate. You have to be able to play the position. You cannot just get away with being a strict runner. We've seen that fail. How many times have we seen these big, strong guys who are underwhelming or average at best passing not succeed and take that level to a Super Bowl? Cam Newton made a Super Bowl. He didn't win one. And like he really went down after that. Josh Allen, as great as he was coming out, it took a real overhaul for him to become an MVP type of player. It took Brian Daboll to really mold that kid, because Josh Allen and Anthony Richardson were very similar coming out of college. If you look at Anthony Richardson now, there's some similarities with Josh Allen when he came out of Wyoming. It wasn't until Brian Daboll really got his handprint on him. Josh Allen still hasn't won a Super Bowl. The Bills are regarded as a favorite every year, and they choke. They can't do it. Jalen Hurts, though, that's the kind of guy where he's got that blend, and it took him a while. Look what he did at Alabama. He couldn't throw the ball. That's why I wasn't big on him. Then he transfers to Oklahoma. Then he comes out, and, he was okay when he got his time as a rookie. And then with Nick Sirianni this past year, you saw what it took for Hurts to succeed. The perfect system for him. You bring in an A.J. Brown. That's a lot. And I just don't know if Anthony Richardson's worthy of that. I'm sure now he's going to be a first-round grade. I don't think he's going to live up to it, and I do not think he should be the number one overall pick.
I certainly don't disagree with anything that you just said. I would not take Anthony Richardson over Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. I think that's nutty. I think that's kind of crazy, actually. Bryce Young, he feathers the football, okay? And he throws through a wall, and he's got the beautiful rainbow Russ Wilson Seattle-style OTS joint, throws the back shoulder. Like, my God, Bryce Young is so good. The only thing he doesn't bring is height, okay? That's it. CJ Stroud is a baller who's an amazing passer, doesn't bring anything on the ground, but he's way better than Anthony Richardson. What were you going to say?
I got to be honest, like, Bryce Young, he's good. He's a great college quarterback. I just don't buy it. I'm biased towards Alabama quarterbacks. I don't know if I buy Bryce Young as being a star at the next level. I think he could be good. He could be solid. I just don't see him being that kind of guy that is going to lead his team to a Super Bowl, especially if he gets taken with, to one of these bad teams. If, let's say, he gets drafted to like a Texans, I think Chicago will probably end up trading that pick, but I don't know if I see it. I don't buy Alabama quarterbacks. I am biased towards them, but I don't know. I think we're kind of getting the similar expectations of like a Kyler Murray. Maybe Bryce Young's got a better attitude, but I don't see it. I think CJ Stroud's probably going to have the best career out of this class for the quarterback position, but I'd be all in for Caleb Williams next year. I loved what I saw from Caleb Williams this year.
Well, I like Caleb Williams and Drake May more than any of the quarterbacks in this class. That's what I would recommend Baltimore to do. Don't give Lamar Jackson this money that you don't want to give to him. Let him go, get 2 first-round picks, and tank this year, okay? And then next year, be at the bottom or the top, and you will get either Drake May or Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, the second coming of Randall Cunningham, and Drake May, from the first time I saw him play, gave me Aaron Rodgers vibes. So we'll see. But I wanted to tie the Anthony Richardson conversation to Lamar Jackson and what's going on here. So we were just asking the question, why have the Dolphins said no? Why have the Falcons said no? Why have the Panthers said no? Why have the Commanders said no? Why the Raiders said no? Okay, well, the Raiders may be saying no to Lamar Jackson, according to reports, because they want to, at number 7, take Anthony Richardson, okay? Because he now is in that category. Atlanta is at number 8, all right? They might take Anthony Richardson on their own at number 8, or they could trade with Baltimore. And again, I'm bringing up stuff that I guess is dead because according to reports, the Falcons don't want him. But we've seen stuff change before, right? The Deshaun Watson bamboozle at the end. He wasn't going to go to Cleveland, and all of a sudden he was. So things can change. But if Atlanta makes the trade, okay, then Baltimore presumably would get Atlanta's 8th overall pick, okay? Boom. Baltimore could take Anthony Richardson through trading away Lamar Jackson. You get a guy who's essentially a different iteration of Lamar Jackson. They've completely orchestrated their whole offense, as you know, Johnny BTV, to set it around a running quarterback to the point where their backup, Tyler Huntley, essentially is a very similar guy to Lamar Jackson, right? So they wouldn't have to redo their offense. They'd just bring in a guy just like Lamar. You would have an additional first-round pick for your efforts. So that's again where Anthony Richardson and Lamar Jackson are kind of doing this little dance, at least in my brain.
I think that makes a ton of sense. I mean, if Atlanta and Baltimore were to ultimately trade, that would make a lot of sense. I just don't understand why Atlanta won't get this guy. I don't think Desmond Ridder is going to be the answer in Atlanta. I could see him having some success. There's signs that Ridder could be a good quarterback ultimately if he works some stuff out. But I don't know if a true pocket passer is the answer in the Arthur Smith offense. We've seen it. That's why he tried to bring in a Marcus Mariota who knew his system. And it didn't really work that well. Mariota got away with a lot of stuff because he was able to run the ball. But I mean, why wouldn't you bring in a Lamar Jackson? Why wouldn't you give up the first-round pick? We know Atlanta's not going to go defense anyway. They need defense. They just refuse to never get a real defense for as long as I've been a fan. So why wouldn't you just cash in on Lamar Jackson? And I got news for you. If they did that, I'm taking a ticket on Lamar Jackson with the MVP. And the reason is only Jalen Hurts is a real threat to come out of the NFC to win that award. I don't understand why you wouldn't get Lamar. Pay him. You have so much cap space. What are you going to do with it?
I know.
Because you only have a couple of years left before you're going to have to pay Kyle Pitts. I mean, you have the 5th year, but you have Kyle Pitts, you have Drake London all under control. You have Tyler Algier under control. Who knows what Cordero Patterson? I don't really understand what the point is. Your defense isn't good. You're going to lose several guys if you didn't lose them already. I can't understand it. I would just go get him because at least Lamar Jackson gives you a chance to win games and possibly even take the NFC South. The NFC South is about to be a disaster this year. It might be it's going to be worse than last year. It might be a 7-win team win this division this year.
Tampa Bay is going to be awful this year. 5-12, 4-13. They're going to be absolutely awful. They have no money. They're essentially quitting and not quitting, but forfeiting. They're tanking. Okay. And I think it's smart. They just need to hit the reset button, take your lumps and go to the top of the draft and get your next quarterback. I believe that's what they're going to do. It's Rick Kamla and Johnny Venezia, AKA Johnny VTV, hanging out here. He's in for Lisa Ann tonight on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. Atlanta may be saying no to Lamar Jackson because they want Anthony Richardson with that 8th overall pick. So AR and Lamar continue to do this little off-season dance. So let's get to this game, Johnny VTV. Let's vet here. Okay, I'm gonna put the Cam list and the JVTV list. Okay, we are going to count up quarterbacks who we believe could win a Super Bowl. Okay, and Johnny B, should we say the word can or will? right? Can this guy win the Super Bowl? Okay, fine. So let's open it up. Let's make it more open-ended than that. Let's start. I'm just going to go through the standings here. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. Can he win a Super Bowl?
Yes.
Okay, I agree. So we'll write Allen down. We'll write Allen down. How about Tua?
No.
I think you can win a Super Bowl with Tua. I don't feel great about it, but I think you can win a Super Bowl with Tua. I will put him on that list. Okay, so you said no, I said yes. How about Mac Jones?
Absolutely not. And the
I
fact that he couldn't. What I think it's, I can't even say the word. A better boss wouldn't like the word that I would use to say that he can't even take criticism, constructive criticism. You know who he reminds me of? Mac Jones, Vic Beasley. If you yelled at him, if you gave him hard criticism, constructive criticism, he would curl up into the fetal position and he just couldn't handle it. You're a professional athlete, especially at the quarterback level. You play for the most hard-ass head coach to ever walk the planet on any sport, and you can't take criticism. You have to be coddled. This is football. This is life. You're a grown man. You have to be able to take that. You're a first-round pick. You cannot be this kind of guy. So no, I think that's weak. That he's weak. He's also like the leader of the Young Republicans Club. So no, he's not winning a quarterback Super Bowl.
Johnny VTV people, I agree. I don't believe you can win a Super Bowl with Mac Jones. Let's have a laugh. Zach Wilson. All right, let's have a laugh. Joe Burrow.
Absolutely.
I agree. If that's chalk, obviously. If you don't think Joe Burrow can win a Super Bowl, maybe this whole sports and betting thing isn't for you. All right, Lamar Jackson. We already betted that. I don't think you can win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. How about you?
I don't.
All right. So,
I don't.
All right. So I just wanted to confirm that. We're playing a game here, guys. Based on that, Johnny VTV was like, yo, Lamar Jackson's not the only guy you can't win a Super Bowl with, so let's not clobber him like he's the only guy. I was like, that's an outstanding point. Okay, so let's clobber all these guys that we don't think can. So Lamar's off the list. Again, let's have a laugh here. Kenny Pickett.
I haven't seen enough. Kenny Pickett, he's clutch. Kenny Pickett had some clutch moments. I'd probably say no. I would say no. I haven't seen enough though, because Kenny Pickett, he surprised me a little bit. I don't think he's never going to be a star, but he has like shades of Big Ben, where like in the big moment he'll show up. But I'll say no for right now.
I definitely say no. I find it hard to believe that that Pickett just got more love than Tua. But you have this whole thing against Alabama quarterback, so I guess that makes sense. Okay, this is a good one right here. Deshaun Watson, Johnny BTV. Can you win a Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson?
I think you can. Because, so before this whole thing came out with Watson, he was beloved. He was like the NFL sweetheart. There was always reports about him doing such nice work in the Houston community. I remember hearing something about maybe during COVID when the food vendors couldn't work because there was no fans and all the people that missed out on paychecks in the cafeteria or whatever it was, he paid them. He took money out of his own pocket, like a lot of good things. And Watson, dude, he's had ironclad testicles since his college days, where in the big moment with the light shining bright, he steps up, he makes a big play. So I do believe you can win a Super Bowl with him. And I just feel like his poor performance last year was a lot of rust combined with a new system. And, there's probably a lot still going on mentally, but in terms of the physical, can he do it? I still believe he can.
There's not a doubt in my mind. I agree with just about everything you said right there. Last year was not Deshaun Watson. This year, we're going to get Deshaun Watson. I'd like to see Cleveland go get another wide receiver and give him just a little bit more help. The Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Bell, I'd like that to be upgraded a little bit. But I watched him win a national championship at Clemson. He's a fully Cam-vetted guy. When you're Cam-vetted, it means you can win a championship, because everything about me is about winning that gold ball, winning that ring. I definitely think you can win a ring with Deshaun Watson. Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
I agree. Not a doubt in my mind about that. I put Trevor Lawrence in the Pro Football Hall of Fame while he was at Clemson. Okay, that's how I feel about Trevor Lawrence. All right. So we've got, I'll update the list here in a minute. We're playing this game here. Which quarterbacks can you win a Super Bowl with and which can't you? All right. So I'm not even going to ask you about Indianapolis or Houston. They just have nothing going on there. So for the AFC, I have Josh Allen, Tua, Burrow, Watson, Lawrence. You have Allen, Burrow, Watson, Lawrence. Tua is the only one that we disagree with. So we are through 16 teams. We have essentially 4.5 guys you can win a Super Bowl with, okay? Let's go to the NFC. How about Jalen Hurts?
Wait, what about the AFC West?
I forgot the AFC West, Johnny VTV. Thank you very much. That's an illness error right there. I'm a little drifty with the brain tonight. All right, so I'm not even going to ask you about Mahomes. Not even going to ask you about Mahomes. He's already won 2. I think he's going to pass Brady one day as the GOAT. Like one day, as in like when he's 40 or 41. And he's got a lot to do in between there. How about Herbert? Can you win a Super Bowl with Justin Herbert?
1,000%, yes.
You can win a Super Bowl with Justin Herbert. You bet your damn butt you can. The Raiders don't have a quarterback right now, so I'll ask you Russell Wilson. In his current form, can you win a Super Bowl with him?
Current form?
Yes, current form.
So obviously he's won a Super Bowl already. He's been to 2. This is very difficult because Sean Payton's different. Like with this, the Denver Broncos have a talented roster, especially that defense. Sean Payton is a genius. He made Drew Brees. Drew Brees was a good quarterback in San Diego. He turned him into a Hall of Famer. Can I get a half yes, half no?
Okay.
Because the thing is, I don't know if what we saw last year is the indictment, because I was never a big believer in Russell Wilson going back to 2012. I'm very adamant about that. Anybody that knows me that long will know that I said that I think he's the most overrated quarterback to ever live. But in this system, get Javonte Williams back. Maybe it depends. That's a tough one for me right now.
All right, so I've got to you've got a half on Wilson. Otherwise, we agree on Allen, Burrow, Watson, Lawrence, Mahomes, and Herbert. I have a feeling the number is going to be bigger in the AFC than in the NFC when we vet the quarterbacks that you can win a Super Bowl with. But we're through 16 teams, and we basically got 7 guys, so half of that conference. Let's catch a quick break right here, JVTV. We're going to bring on our boy Tanner Kern with Cold Hard Football Facts. He's an NBA bettor as well. What I want to know from Tanner is if he's dialing into college hoops a little bit with the tournaments and obviously the Selection Sunday coming up, and then the NCAA tournament will be next week. But we'll have fun with Tanner Kern when we come back. It is Johnny VTV in for Lisa Ann with me, Rick Kamla, on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Bettor Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA, before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it is organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft. Oh, well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up. Auto bidding, auto auctioning, it ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2-3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, you're organized, so you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Respect! Yeah, let's go, baby. Little Pantera coming back. It makes me so happy. My wife asked me all that, why do you listen to all this angry music? Does it make you angry? No, it makes me happy. It puts a smile on my face. It gives me energy. It's like musical caffeine, man. Anyway, golf talk. You want to really dial me up? Play some Slipknot when we come back. Play Liberate by Slipknot, Tyler Soto and Anthony Rivera. Golf talk is fun with the Tour Junkies, now playing with Bettor Sports Network on demand. Here, David Barnett and Pat Perry discuss their upcoming trip to the TPC Sawgrass PGA Tour, schedule changes for 2024, and preview the Players' Championship. Joe Idoni of the Preferred Lines podcast also joins the show to share his biggest storylines at the Players and best bets. Get winning golf advice and picks for daily fantasy sports and betting on Tour Junkies, now playing on demand with the Bettor Sports Network app. And we got our boy here, a rising star in the handicapping game, Tanner Kern, Cold Hard Football Facts. He does NBA as well. Tanner, it's Rick Kamla. It's your boy Johnny VTV. What's happening, man?
What's up, guys? How you doing? Happy to be here. It's March Madness. We got baseball coming up, football news all over the place. So it's a great time.
It is a great time. I wanted to get back to some of your NBA plays tonight, but I have a question. I'm curious. Are you a college basketball guy? Are you dialed in? Are you offering releases on point spreads? Like, are you in that sphere right now?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't call myself the biggest college basketball guy throughout the year, but when it comes to March, you have to be, right? Especially in the betting industry. So I had some nice plays today. Syracuse plus 3.5. It was awesome to see that one. I love winning by the hook there. I've had some good luck so far. I'm on Lafayette as well right now. It doesn't look very good there against Colgate currently, but yeah, love college basketball at this time of the year.
All right, so I will we'll come back to that a little bit, but let us know your NBA plays tonight, or give us one or two here. Tanner, I presume you've got a prop bet or two or a side that you like. I like Phoenix minus 13.5 tonight. Tanner, I got Kuzma over 21.5 tonight. I got Kyrie over 26.5 tonight. And I got Siakam over 22.5 tonight. Where are you looking at on the NBA betting board tonight?
Oh, I mean, I love Siakam. Pretty much every play you can get with him. I think he's going to do great. But DeMar DeRozan over 31.5 PRA is my main play tonight. They're going up against the Nuggets a little later. DeRozan's averaging 25.1 points per game. He's a great scorer. Now, when you look at PRA, though, he's going to have to score tonight because the assists and rebounds, they fluctuate a lot. But when I look at him shooting well on the road, 51% on his road splits there, 51% from the field in his past 10 games as well. And the one area that the Denver Nuggets do struggle with is turnovers, getting back in transition. I think DeRozan's going to play a big part in that fast break game. If they can get advantage of some turnovers, mid-range jumpers, all that good stuff tonight. So I love him to go over 31.5 PRA. Also was on Jaylen Brown over 36.5 PRA. He's got a pretty slow start, but you never know, they can pick up. You look at these Celtics guys, I mean, they always start scoring in the third quarter. That's the big quarter. Tatum's not playing tonight, so Jaylen Brown should have a huge role there, and like him to go over. Also is on Al Horford's point total as well.
Tanner, great to be talking to you. We haven't ever met, so it's nice to have you on the show here with us. So you have those plays for tonight. Talk to me. What are you looking like in the futures market? So I don't know if you heard earlier today. I have a nice ticket on Emmanuel quickly. I got him at 40-1 for 6th man of the year. A little bit of Greek Freak at 35-1 for defensive player of the year. Do you have anything like that in your portfolio this year, or is there something that you're looking at this time?
So, I mean, when you look at Emmanuel quickly, just that was a great play by you. I was more on the Malcolm Brogdon 6th man of the year. And then,
Me too, Tanner. Me too.
I was all over him for 6th man of the year, right? And then, the other night against the Celtics, it's the Emmanuel quickly homecoming party, man. He was fantastic. So it's so fun to watch. So fun to watch. And a lot of people were like, oh, the Celtics lost to a beat up Knicks team, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you what, Jalen Brunson wasn't going to give you that production. That was exceptional production. I mean, that's a great night for any point guard, what quickly did. But when I look at the future markets, the Eastern Conference, there's just not a lot of value right now. It's the Celtics, it's the Bucks, it's the Sixers, and the odds aren't great there. You look at the Western Conference, though, it is pretty wide open. And I will say this, I don't mind the Mavs at 8-1 to win the Western Conference. Obviously, the Suns are tremendous. But if you look at what the Suns did to beat the Mavericks, their bench really didn't do anything. They shot 55% from the field. In a 7-game series, that Mavericks bench is really going to come into play, and they were dominant compared to the Suns bench. So I would say the Mavs at 8-1 I like, and in the Western Conference, it's not worth playing the Suns right now. I don't think at 2-1. But obviously they're the best team in the conference. I would still lean towards the Mavs at 8-1, get some value, and you can always hedge if they get there.
So, Tanner, I am going to go ahead and respectfully disagree with you, my friend. I love Phoenix to win the West. And as of a week ago, it was like plus 250, then plus 235, then plus 230, then plus 225, and now it's a plus 190. Phoenix is going to destroy Oklahoma City tonight. I like them at minus 13.5. I don't usually go that big with the number, but I think we're going to get a 20-point or more beatdown. Like literally at halftime, I think this game might be over, that kind of thing. Not that a home win over OKC is going to swing this more, but it's just going to tick down, tick down, tick down, tick down. So I like where your head's at with Dallas at 8-1, or I'm on DraftKings right now at 9-1. Okay, I'm not mad at you there, but I still feel like Phoenix at 2-1 basically is still good value, because Tanner and Johnny BTV, I believe that there is a separation between Phoenix and the rest of the West. You have the best core four in the NBA. You have the best duo in the NBA, and Denver has a great core four. Denver has a really good duo, but it's imbalanced, right? Murray and Jokic, to me, that's not like Kyrie or Luka, or Davis and LeBron, or Brown and Tatum, where the duo is balanced, right? To me, it's unbalanced. So I want to push back a little bit on that. I actually, Tanner, still think it is good value at plus 190 for Phoenix. Would you consider going like a little bit on Dallas and then hedging a little bit with Phoenix at a plus 190? Would you consider? Do I have you there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love Phoenix. I just think that the bench play scared me in that one. But you also look at Devin Booker in that secondary scorer role. I think it's going to really open him up well. And there's a lot of things you can do. You can have KD on the court while he's resting. You can have Booker on the court while KD's resting. So there is a lot they can do. I think they're the most talented squad in the West, obviously. And you're just looking at some of these other teams right now. The Denver Nuggets, yes, very good, but very top heavy with Nikola Jokic. They rely on him so much there. Golden State, they can't win on the road. I think they have 7 wins on the road this year. With that being said, though, they got guys that have been there, done that. So I think that means something in postseason play, obviously. But still, it's concerning that they can't win on the road. And Mavericks, Clippers, Grizzlies now, with the whole Ja Morant situation, I don't know if I touch them. So the Suns are leaps and bounds better than teams in this conference, but over a 7-game series, I think there's ways to exploit them.
So let me ask you something real quick. So I actually don't hate the Warriors at 6-1 to win the West. Like you mentioned, they've had their struggles on the road this year, but the fact of the matter is this team has been there, done that. Yeah. And you can never count them out. And they're so well coached. They're so deep. They're just so mentally tough. And then also the other team that I'm kind of interested in, if either of you gentlemen have an opinion on, the Sacramento Kings. Their odds have plummeted from earlier in the season. I actually saw a tweet today. Some guy put like 18K on them to win. What was it? It was like in the millions. It was like maybe 10 million, if I'm not mistaken. But do you think the Kings have an actual shot to win the Western Conference?
I mean, I think there's this Kings bias, right? I'm still waiting for them to fall off the map. I'm sure everyone here is like, that's what we expect. But Mike Brown's done a fantastic job there. I think him and he's right up there for coach of the year, right up there, number one, number two. But when you look at Sacramento right now, it's the small market bias there. It's hard to get behind them. I think in postseason play with guys that really haven't been there, really don't know what it's like, it's going to be hard. And maybe I'm just biased right now because it is that small market team that nobody expected to be here. But as soon as Memphis, starts losing some games without Ja Morant, because we have no clue when he's going to be back, the Kings are probably going to move up in that 2 seed there. So they have a great chance to do damage in the postseason. It might be worth sprinkling a little money on it, but again, it's the Kings, man. That's kind of where I'm at right now with it.
Well,
Tanner,
so the thing.
Go ahead,
I'm
Johnny
sorry,
TV. Sorry,
real quick.
sorry.
So I like that point with the Ja Morant situation. If Sacramento ultimately ended up grabbing that seed and got locked in for the postseason, because the clock's ticking. It's coming down to the to the home stretch here. Do you think it's worth it maybe to put like half a unit, 3/4 of a unit on Sacramento? Maybe they win. They get a good draw, and they take the first series, and then maybe you start betting against them in a series price, and you start like hedging against them and creating more equity out of a ticket that you're going to get still from something of a long shot, 46-1.
Yeah, I mean, the great part about the Western Conference is all of these teams have a chance to win. So there's a lot of hedging opportunities. You're going to get really good odds throughout the postseason there. And the fact that, I'm looking on DraftKings right now, it's 35-1 with a team that's probably going to be the 2 seed. It's worth sprinkling a little money on that. Now, do I see them beating the Suns, the Nuggets, the Warriors over a 7-game series? No, but when you get into the playoffs, we see it. Anything can happen. Any team can win. And the fact that they're 35-1 and probably going to be the 2 seed or at least the top 4 seed in the Western Conference, it's hard not to put even. Yeah, 35-1 DK right now.
46 on FanDuel. So
okay,
that's also
there you go.
Good.
You got a long shot.
Yeah, that's a good example of why it's important to shop around, especially for futures prices.
Definitely. So yeah, shop around, but drop a little money. I would drop a unit on that because you're going to be able to hedge out of it, and still get a profit.
Johnny BTV with the San Fran vibes, with the Sac vibes, with the Northern California vibes, taking me back to Big Sur and my times hanging out up there in Northern California. I freaking love it up there, man. My vibe on the Sacramento Kings is that and DraftKings right now doesn't have awards up. They don't have NBA awards up, or at least not. I just refreshed and they don't have them up. Last I checked, Mike Brown was in the lead for Coach of the Year in terms of the betting board, and he's the play. And the reason I say that is all the NBA people that I talk to, a lot of them are voters. It's just Mike Brown, Mike Brown, Mike Brown, Mike Brown, Mike Brown. And narrative is so strong with this type of stuff. Joe Mazzulla has a hell of a case, taking over for Ime Udoka, but the team was in the finals last year. And I think people are going to use that against him. So to me, the angle on Sac is not betting them to win the West because Johnny BTV, I love you. I like where your head's at. I like the creativity. I like the long odds. I like the 2 seed and the long odds don't match. So let's try to make some money off this. I love where your head's at. But I'm just telling you, Phoenix is literally going to joke around with the West. Okay. They are just going to toy with this conference in the playoffs, I believe. I don't think anybody's taking them beyond a game 6. I don't see any game 7s. Like Denver to me would win 2 games. The Warriors would win 2 games. The Lakers might win 2 games. Your Mavs might win 2 games, but the Kings, it's almost like Geno Smith and Daniel Jones. Like their Super Bowl, Geno Smith's Super Bowl was making the playoffs. Okay. Danny Dimes' Super Bowl was winning a playoff game. Nobody thought they were going to win it all. So for Sac, making the playoffs, having home court advantage in the playoffs, and maybe winning 1 playoff series, that's their Super Bowl, man. That goes way beyond anything that anybody thought they were going to do. Winning 3 playoff series to go to the finals. JBTV, I'm just not with that. So we've got Tanner Kern, Cold Hard Football Facts, hanging out with us here on Bettor Sports Network. So in terms of, and I want both you guys to talk to this. Tanner, you first. Let's bring the Ja Morant controversy into the conversation here because they slipped to 3 last night. Sac leapfrogged over them. I looked this up today. the Memphis Grizzlies are in a free fall. No Ja. They lost Brandon Clark. They still don't have Steven Adams back. They lost guys in the offseason, Melton and Kyle Anderson. Like, I just don't like their group right now, or don't love their group. Of their next 7 games, 5 of them are against Dallas and Golden State. And I think we all would agree that Phoenix is going to get up over Memphis, okay? That would put Memphis in the 4 hole with Sac and Phoenix above them. But I think there's even downside more than that, Tanner Kern, because Dallas and Golden State have all these matchups against them, and they can make up that gap. I could see Memphis falling all the way to 5 or 6. And so talk to me about that. And are you still looking at Memphis as a championship contender? Did you ever look at them as a championship contender?
Well, I mean, as much as I love Tyus Jones, he's no Ja Morant, right? So we got to factor that into the first thing. And then you look at the injuries. Like you said, there's a ton of injuries on this team now. Okay, so now we got 2 red flags going against them. And now we look at just the culture in general, right? Like, what's this doing to the locker room? And we can talk about Ja, getting help and all the help he needs. I feel like he just needs to grow up, quite frankly, and everyone's got to look into this case. And I know there's some details that came out today. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but, league looking into it and all that. This is not good culture, first of all. So we know how culture can destroy locker rooms. I probably would stay away from them in every capacity whatsoever right now. They're just not that appealing with the injuries and without Ja. And then you look at the schedule. I see them losing to Golden State, probably, even though it is in Memphis, which, doesn't help the Warriors because they can't win on the road. Best case, probably split with Dallas or lose to Miami on the road. Really good defensive team there. They could struggle to beat San Antonio. And then you got Golden State and Dallas again. So like you said, it's not a good time, especially if Ja doesn't come back. And if he does come back, what are you going to get at him, right? What's going on in his head? What's going on with the outside circumstances? So not a team that I would touch right now in the future markets.
Yeah, Johnny BTV, you got a vibe on Memphis? You punting them as well?
Yeah, I got a vibe. It's no vibe at all. I think everything Tanner said is spot on. It's not always just the physical. It's not just the best physical teams win. You have to be gelling. Teams that don't gel don't typically win. And not that I would even think Memphis would win if all firing, they were clicking on all cylinders, because they have to go up against a daddy wagon in the Phoenix Suns. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it. You have to contend with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And, it's just Memphis always kind of had limitations. It was Ja Morant that was the celery stick that stirred the spicy bloody martini, or spicy bloody Mary. But I just don't think that that's going to be the case regardless. And then you bring him back into the fold amidst all this. We don't know if he's going to end up missing more games. The league, that they're saying possibly police reports, they could be looking into this. He could be done for the whole year. We don't know. It's kind of like that Alvin Kamara situation when it came draft time for in August, September. A lot of teams, a lot of people, including myself, were 50-50. Like, should we take this guy? Because when he's right, we know what we're going to get out of him, but maybe he gets a midseason suspension. He ended up having a bad year anyway, but that's kind of the vibe I get. It might just be a complete stay away, like Tanner said.
All right, so Tanner, I want to talk a little college basketball with you here. Sort of the latest on Ja. Woj is reporting he will remain away from the Grizzlies for at least the next 4 games. Shams Charania reporting Glendale, Colorado police have closed their investigation into Grizzlies star Ja Morant with no charge or crime. There was not enough available evidence to charge anyone with a crime. What I know about the situation is that what's very important here is the gun, okay? Whose was it? Was it yours? Was it on team premises? Like a lot of this stuff, because if they deem it was on team premises, now we're going back down Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton Boulevard, which was not good and led to a very, very lengthy suspension. So hopefully we don't have to go down that road with Ja. But I want to go down the road of the conference tournaments with my boy Tanner Kern of Cold Hard Football Facts. Let's go to tomorrow, Tanner, because I looked at the slate of games tonight. It's garbage. It's a lot of like 500 teams, and I got
one for you.
You got okay. You got one tonight.
I think I got a winner. Hit me.
Hopefully. I can't wait.
Every time you say that, though, it doesn't happen. But I will say this: I absolutely love NC State money line tonight against Virginia Tech. So I look at Virginia Tech, I look at NC State, both teams pretty even on paper right now, but it's really the guard play that's going to make the difference here for NC State. I mean, they're two leading scorers right now. Terquavion Smith, he is sensational. Sophomore guard, got another senior guard, moving the ball all around the floor. They can hit shots all over the floor. And then you look at one more factor. Virginia Tech, they had a tough game against Notre Dame last night. It's not easy to play back-to-back in college. You don't really know what that's like until you get to this point in the season. So I'm going to be on NC State money line. They're a 2.5-point favorite. I don't want to worry about points, quite frankly. In March Madness, I never want to worry about points. So if I can find a favorite for 140 and under, I'm going to take it.
My man is on NC State tonight. All right, so let's, Tanner, stay in the ACC and jump to tomorrow. Duke at 23-8 with their win over North Carolina, bounced back into the top 25 now at 21. Pitt at 22-10 in a quarterfinal at the ACC tournament. Duke is laying 6. Where are you at with that one? Have you vetted that one? Is that on your board tomorrow? Talk to me, Tanner.
So I haven't looked into this one too much, but I have looked into Pittsburgh a lot, and they are wouldn't call them a dark horse. They have something to prove, obviously, to get into the tournament, whether they needs to win the ACC or just have a really good showing. But they are one of the best teams in the country against the spread, and they pretty much have been all season. They started really hot. They kind of tapered off. But throughout that time where they weren't winning games, they were still covering, and they are 22-9 against the spread. Also a very good record in the ACC, I think 13 or 14-7 within conference play against the spread. So I love that. And you look at the Blue Bloods this year, they are down. There's not a lot of Blue Bloods that I absolutely trust, possibly besides Kansas, right?
How about UCLA? Do you trust them? They're a Blue Blood.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I like Jaime Jaquez. I love that team. But the fact of the matter is, I think Arizona is going to get the best of them in the Pac-12 tournament. I don't know if it's going to help them moving forward. I think the momentum is going to be away from them because you look at a team like Arizona, they can score. They just don't play a lot of defense. But when they're shooting well, they're hard to stop. So speaking of hard to stop, Kyle Filipowski, I can't say his last name. If they can shut him down tomorrow for Duke, I think they're going to be in good shape. I will take the points here with the Pittsburgh Panthers.
I like it a lot. All right, Tanner, one more for you here and we'll let you go. I want to ask you about Anthony Richardson, okay? Me and Johnny V were talking about him a little while ago here, and he was talking about how AR's odds shot up, to be the number 1 overall pick and that kind of stuff. If you have a vibe on that, please drop it on us. I told Johnny V TV I went into the combine with Young, Stroud, Hooker, Richardson as my top 4. I like Hendon Hooker. I like him a lot. I think people sleep on him. He can throw a great deep ball. He's really, really fast. He's a dual threat guy and had 2 back-to-back sensational seasons at Tennessee. I think he's a really good NFL quarterback prospect. But dang, Anthony Richardson showed us that he is not a theoretical freak or a purported freak. He is, in fact, legitimately and officially a freak. So what did he do to your brain over the weekend with his performance at the Combine?
Well, I mean, his performance made me realize that he can probably play tight end if quarterback doesn't work out. So you do have a little bit of an insurance policy taking him, top 10, top 5, wherever he wants to land. I think the NFL GMs look at athletic ability. Like you look at Will Levis, didn't have the best senior season. Was okay his junior year, did not beat out Sean Clifford at Penn State. But the thing about Will is he can throw the ball. He's got a cannon, as he said, and he's physically superior to a lot of quarterbacks that are coming out. You look at Bryce Young, right? Like people are over to Bryce Young, but physically you get in a room with, Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, all these guys, like, who's this? This kid, like he looks like he doesn't even play football, right? So I think GMs love the athletic ability. Richardson can throw, he can jump, he can run, he can do it all for you. I don't know if I would take him unless you had a situation where he can sit for a little while. And quite frankly, in general, I would like my first round quarterback to sit when you don't always have that luxury, because it's hard to play quarterback in the NFL. Just by being a first round draft pick doesn't mean you're going to work out. Quite frankly, it probably means you're going to have a tougher time making it. So if they have a situation where he can go into and sit behind a veteran quarterback, it's worth taking a risk on him. But I don't know if I would take him if you need someone to play right away, even with his athletic ability.
It's a great breakdown.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what he's saying. And I wanted to add another point here. So we talked about the athleticism. And, I understand athleticism is, especially at the quarterback position, it's such a weapon to have. It's so nice to have a guy who's big and strong and he can run a 4.4 or lower. I really do. But I think what happens is these GMs, these coaches, they just get too obsessed with the athletics. And at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself. You have to look at this player and say, can this guy play quarterback? And the answer to a lot of these athletes is no. Quarterback, like, we've become so obsessed with having the guy that can run for 1,000 yards. It's this new thing, and everyone's like, oh, it's a new age. Like, no. Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, Dante Culpepper, those are the guys I grew up on. And I know Randall Cunningham was before that. Then it's like the RG3s, the Cam Newtons, they come out and it's like, oh, well, you know, they're the new age quarterback. Like, no, this was done a decade before them. And then the same thing here. You're getting the Jalen Hurts, the Lamar Jacksons, the Justin Fields. And then every 10 years, like, oh, it's the new age. Like, no, we do this same thing all the time. It's just at different points, you know, on the timeline. And I feel like we're kind of falling a trap here with Anthony Richardson. Not a lot of these guys can play the quarterback position. If Richardson came out and had a great year at Florida, we know how good the SEC is. If Richardson comes out and even had like a 63, 64% completion, you know, maybe I would be a little bit different here. But the fact is he kind of struggled as a passer in Florida and his ground game bailed him out. I don't think that is sustainable. You have to be able to throw the ball and play quarterback. I'm not just talking about having a strong arm. It takes a lot to command an offense. It takes a lot to be a point guard. A lot of these coaches aren't turned on by the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan type. Those are the guys that are MVPs that go to Super Bowls, that win Super Bowls. Everybody's trying to find the next Mahomes, the next Justin Herbert. Those guys don't grow on trees. You can't just take this guy because he's a great athlete. Maybe he's going to develop into him. That doesn't happen. They're once-in-a-generation type players. Anthony Richardson is not that. We need to stop obsessing over guys because they're great athletes. That's awesome. Put him at a different position. A guy who completes 55% at the college level, to me, right now, is not somebody that I'm looking at to say, oh, yeah, he should be the number one pick. He should be a top 15 pick. No, let's stop it. It's got to stop.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. I mean, I think athleticism is just so valued in the NFL right now at any position, especially the quarterback position. But you can win without a great quarterback. Look at Brock Purdy. The Niners were able to do it because they had weapons around him. They had a great defense, right? So there's not one recipe. And like I said, I would not draft Richardson unless you know that you have a situation that you can have him develop a little bit. Because if you throw him out there after what he did in the SEC last year and put him in the NFL, a huge difference, even from the SEC, it's going to be detrimental to his career, and he'll probably be playing tight end at some point.
On mute, buddy.
Pardon me. Tanner Kern, he could maybe go to Carolina. He could maybe go to Atlanta and be in that box that you just talked about right there. Before we let you go, tell the people what you got going on right now, where to hear you, where to watch you, where to listen to you, Mr. Kern.
Yep, definitely. So NFL content still over at Cold Hard Football Facts. Definitely taking a little step back from the season there, but still doing some stuff there. And then also on DraftKings, I making videos for DraftKings every day, short form stuff. And then new podcast, Ride the Line, just debuted today on the World Sports Network. So make sure you check that out. And I appreciate you guys having me. It was blessed.
A brand new podcast, Ride the Line. This is huge, man.
Yep, this is brand new podcast.
Oh, I'm
we better be on that. We better be on that podcast, Tanner.
Definitely. I gotta get you guys on.
Don't be holding out on us.
I'll get you guys on. It was a blast. I'd love to have you on. It was we just launched it today, our pilot episode. So we talked a lot about.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Grant Williams missing all his damn free throws the other night. That's what we talked about.
Well, Tanner, you're blowing up, dude, and rightly so. You're a huge mind in this space, and we love having you on. You're a kick-ass dude as well. Keep up the great work, continued success, and we'll talk soon, man.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Tanner Kern, Cold Hard Football Facts, hanging out with your boys, Rick Kamla and Johnny B TV. All right, let's catch a break here. I want to come back, Johnny B TV. Here's what I want to do. Let's do the NFC on this quarterback game. The quarterbacks you can win a championship with, right? Johnny B TV in the first hour said, because you can't win a championship with Lamar Jackson. He's like, he's not the only guy you can't win a championship with. I was like, that's an outstanding point. So let's play this game. And let's go to the NFC. And then around the corner, Johnny V TV, I want to get into some Major League Baseball futures. Okay. And I have had an epiphany about the National League East that I want to drop on you guys. Okay. So we'll play this quarterback game. We'll go to some MLB futures and we'll have a blast. He's Johnny B TV, aka Johnny Venezia. I am Rick Kamla. We are better. And by the way, he's in for Lisa Ann. LA is vacationing tonight. She is swanking it up around planet Earth, and we are here, and getting it done here on Bettor Sports Live on Bettor Sports Network.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
We're talking catchers. And Ray, as we jump into this position, traditionally, this has been a position that you kind of say, well, there's like 2-3 guys and the rest is just junk. And gosh, I'm in a 2-catcher league. How in the hell am I going to fill 2 spots, in this 12-man league? And oh, it's such a struggle after the 8th catcher. Like, fair to say it's different now? I mean, I know it's not great, but it feels like the best catcher pool I've seen in a while, like at least a half decade, in terms of, wow, we've got some hitters, we've got guys, and I know they're not exclusively catchers, and the DH is helping, certainly, but it looks like we're going, 10, 12 deep at least of feeling good about catchers, I think.
I tier the players at positions because I think that's a really good way to look at them. And when you tier players, you're basically putting guys that are likely to produce similar levels of production in the same tier. One guy might be batting average, one guy might be home runs, that kind of a thing, but basically the same end result value-wise. I have 2 guys on the elite tier. I then have 8 guys on the next tier. And then I go all the way to 22 on the 3rd tier, which basically almost gets us to that, 2 catchers in the 24, 12-team league kind of thing. So I agree with you. And I think that even if you look beyond that, there's some names that are outside my top 20 that I could easily see being top 15 catchers this year. So yeah, it's not wow, but it's good overall. We got some young guys coming in that are dynamic players to help out some of the older guys that are still hanging on. It's better than it has been. I agree with you.
It's actually very young, Ray. And that, I mean, you look at Varsho, Rauschman, William Contreras, Kirk, Melendez, Cal Riley's semi-young, but Keibert Ruiz. And there's still other guys coming up that are in the minors right now. That's, we used to always say all these young catchers, just catch, don't worry about hitting. These guys are coming up with some skill sets as well.
Yeah, and the game is different now, right? Back in the day, you were an old dude that had no athleticism. You were good at blocking balls, and we hoped you'd pop 15 home runs, right? That was kind of the MO. Now it's different. Now we get more athletic guys. It's not that, you have to be some dumpy, slow guy catching. You can be an athletic player that can play other positions, as you noted. So I think the youngsters are bringing more athleticism, kind of like the tight end position in football, right? It's like there is more athleticism at the tight end spot than there was 25 years ago. I think it's the same way at the catcher spot.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
See what I'm talking about? This is the kind of music my mom told me not to listen to. This is the kind of music that my wife tells me not to listen to. Liberate by Slipknot. Oh, Tyler Soto, Anthony Rivera, thank you. I needed that. So Johnny B TV. So to take you into the lab, right? I do a lot of work when my family's asleep and I'm up watching a late night NBA game and I'm doing my mock draft or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And a lot of times that's what I have on my ears right there. And that was the studio version, which is amazing, off their first album. But Slipknot, by the way. But there's a couple of live versions out there on iTunes, man. It just gets me going, man. It gets me going. That adrenaline that I need. That is Johnny Venezia. I am Rick Kamla. Do you mess with Slipknot? Do you mess with heavy metal, Johnny BTV? Or you a hip hop guy?
I'm not really a heavy metal guy, to be honest. Very rarely. It's got to be an absolute banger for me to
like
even
that one
consider.
Right there.
That was kind of a banger. Not gonna lie. I do like hip hop, country solid. I'm a big EDM guy. That kind of thing. I'm not like music festival though. I don't go to Coachella and like pop Molly and stuff like that. That's like very white girl. Like go do that kind of. I don't do that. Like I'm not a music festival. Yeah, I'm not music festival kind of person.
You are hilarious, dude. I love my guy Johnny BTV. I'm the exact opposite. Like take me to a music festival. Take a helicopter, just drop me down. I'll land somewhere, hopefully not on somebody, and I will be as happy as you can possibly be. All right, so let's talk some sports here. Obviously, on Bettor Sports Network, we are Bettor Sports Live in for Lisa, and it's Johnny V TV, and we're going through the NFL, vetting it. Who can you win a Super Bowl with at the quarterback position? All right, in the AFC, we both agreed on Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert. Johnny B gave a half vote to Russell Wilson. He didn't get a vote for me, and I said you can win a Super Bowl with Tua. Okay. And Johnny B said no on that. So we've basically been agreeing. So let's go to the NFC. Jalen Hurts. Can you win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts, Johnny B TV?
You absolutely can.
My guy. I agree with you. He won big in college. I think he's going to win big in the NFL. Hang in there, Philadelphia Eagles fans. I think that ship is coming. Maybe not this year, because I think free agency is going to shred the Eagles. But you guys got a QB you can win a Super Bowl with. This is a good one right here. I
already know where you're going.
I can see Stephen A. Smith with his cowboy hat on and the whole thing, right? And all the trolling and all this. Can you win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott, Johnny B TV?
You absolutely cannot win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. I think, listen, Dak Prescott is a solid quarterback. He always got more credit than he deserved. A lot of it because he has the star on his helmet and they're always in the media. But he put up some good stats because, do you remember a few years ago in 2020 or 21, before the year he got hurt? He was going crazy. His numbers were off the charts because he was throwing 50 times a game. He's had some big numbers, and I think that's what people kind of take to the bank. I don't buy Dak Prescott. I think he's a solid fantasy quarterback. He's in my top 10, but that's it. He's not a winner. And I hate to say that because I really do like the guy. I think he's a nice guy. I just don't buy him as a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And if it was going to happen, I think it would have happened already. I think Dallas is on the downtrend.
I mean, look, I agree with every single word you just said right there. I like Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is talented. He's one of the best boundary throwers we have in the NFL. He's a good deep ball thrower. He's a stud, okay? Like, you can go to the playoffs with him. He is worthy of $40 million a year. I'm not mad at Dallas for the contract they have. And Dak Prescott is a bad interception right around the corner. What are you bristling at?
No, I don't think he's worth $40 million. I don't.
Do you think Daniel Jones is worth $40 million?
No, I couldn't believe that. I'm not surprised because, I said it heading into the year. I wrote a very nice piece on the Giants. I thought the Giants were going to be really good for 2023. I said, I think they might struggle. They might have a little bit of growing pains in 22, and they were ahead of schedule. But I thought Brian Dable was going to bring a winning attitude. I drew the comparison, and I think the way he made over Allen, to a similar extent, he can make over Daniel Jones. Obviously, there's a big talent difference there, but those two are the same skill set for the most part. They're big, strong, athletic guys that can run. And obviously, Josh Allen's got an absolute rocket for an arm, but Daniel Jones is not that bad at throwing the football. And that's ultimately what happened. I think there's a little bit overhype on that, where it's more Dable than, they think.
Well, I agree with you. I don't think Dallas is going to win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. And I just think he's got a glitch in the system. He's super talented. He should be able to win a Super Bowl. Like, you watch him, he looks like a guy you could win a Super Bowl with. And then you watch him play in big games, and it's like, dude, you did it to me again, just like Romo. And again, it's because Tony Romo poisoned the Dallas Cowboys. They weren't a choky operation before he got there, but of course they are now. All right, so we both say no on Dak Prescott. Can you win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones?
No.
I agree.
No.
Can you win a Super Bowl with, oh God, I don't know. All right, Heineke or Sam Howell?
No.
It's just too early. Like, with Sam Howell's my guy. So I don't want to say like I think maybe you could, but it's like, all right, so let's just like not even bring that into the discussion here. All right, here's another good one. Kirk Cousins. Johnny B TV, can you win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins?
It's weird because he's been on some really good teams. Kirk Cousins is a great regular season quarterback. He has shown that he can step up in a big game. He played really well against the Giants. It's just everybody's going to remember that the end of the game, right? That's what people are going to remember. But he played really well. But no, I don't think he can win a Super Bowl. I think like Prescott, if he was going to win a Super Bowl, it would have happened already. Cousins is getting up there. Cousins does not have many more years left, like good years at least.
Cousins has the Romo gene. Okay. Unfortunately,
that's not fair. That's not fair.
What do you mean?
I think Tony Romo, in my opinion, always got hosed. I think Romo was a lot better than people gave him credit for. And I think Romo could have won. He didn't have as talented teams as Dak Prescott's had.
Johnny VTV. Come on, man. I mean, on 3rd and 8, it was a bad play every single time in a big game. So we can agree to disagree on that. I think you're making excuses for him, man. I think he was the guy that was in Dallas's way. I don't think he had everything figured out and it was a drop by a receiver or a flag on a linebacker. I think he was the issue there. So we agree. Did you have another comment there? But we agree on Kirk Cousins. You cannot win a Super Bowl with him.
No, we're agreeing on that.
All right. So, all right. We, like I said, more in the AFC than the NFC. All right. Jared Goff, much time on that. Jared Goff, anyone going once, going twice? Can you win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff?
They can make the playoffs. He can make a deep run. He's shown that. And I think the Lions are going to continue to get better over the next few years, but I don't buy a Super Bowl with Jared Goff.
I agree. All right. So the Packers, let's call it Aaron Rodgers right now. Can you still, at this point, win a championship with Aaron Rodgers, who has not won a ring, Johnny BTV, in a decade?
Can you win with Rodgers? It depends on the roster. Yes, you can win with.
So that's a
yes. You can win with Rodgers. Depends what you're going to do on the rest of the team. The Packers with Rodgers, at this state, cannot win. But Rodgers himself, I still think he's got the capability to win, even if he's only playing for another couple of years.
I agree with that. Now, if he goes to the Jets, I think he'll be Jetsed, right? Because they're the Jets and they kill Carl and Curb Your Enthusiasm, and they're the Jets and they do Jets things. So, but I think theoretically you can still win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. All right, we agree on that. Here's a good one, Justin Fields.
I do. I think you can win with Justin Fields. I was big on him coming out of the draft. I think there's a lot to like about him. And he showed a lot of great stuff this year. He really did. And I think it's just once he gets a better team around him and he gets a better system around him, he's going to learn more. I think he learned a lot this season. And, he wasn't necessarily the best in the clutch. He made a lot of bad decisions. He made a lot of late interceptions. But I think ultimately this guy can win a Super Bowl. Yes.
I agree with you. He's a Cam-vetted guy. In the lab, watching him at Ohio State, he is a marvelous thrower of the football. A lot of NFL fans don't know that yet because, of course, the Bears have given him nobody to throw to. Hopefully that changes. Hopefully Chase Claypool gets his act together this year. They got to get Mooney back from the torn ACL. But I believe in Justin Fields. Do I think you can win a Super Bowl with him in 2023? No, I do not. But down the line, but down the line, I think, but down the line, I definitely think you can win a Super Bowl with Justin Fields. All right, let's go to, I didn't want to bring up Tampa Bay. I don't even want to bring up Carolina. Derek Carr, can you win a Super Bowl? Let's go to New Orleans here. We're almost done here, Johnny B TV, with this exercise. Can you win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr?
No.
Golly, I want to say yes, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. And he kind of falls in the Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins category a little bit. I mean, I think they're more talented than him. I would rather have them than him, but he is talented, but he makes mistakes at critical times. And I just think there's a cap on him. All right. So we agree there on Carr. I'm not even going to ask you about Ritter. Let's go to I'm not even going to ask you about San Fran because I'll ask you about Lance. Or have you seen enough to even levy an opinion on that? Because we can quickly move on here.
No, not
on
yet.
Trey Lance.
I haven't seen enough. I have not seen enough.
All right, and then so you've got Kyler Murray. Let me ask you about him. We got two guys left here. Kyler Murray.
No.
You say no. Wow.
I'll tell you why. First of all, the guy can never stay healthy for a full season. That's a given. He's too small to play the position. And I'm not saying that to be a knock. I'm saying that as a matter of fact. How many times is he always picking up injuries? Largely attributed to his ability to extend the play, which we've seen throughout the years from quarterbacks, combined with the not great offensive line. He takes a lot of sacks, which also contributes to his injury. The Cardinals aren't a great team. He never got along Cliff Kingsbury. I think that had a lot to do with it. I think he's a talented player, but ultimately what it comes down to, and a lot of guys will tell you this, he is not a leader in the locker room. He is more of a finger pointer, me first kind of guy from what I've heard and what players have played with him have said. This guy goes, does his job and goes home. That's it. He's not somebody that's connecting like how, how Big Ben brought all the young guys a couple of years ago to his house, his vacation house, and he bonded with a lot of guys on his offense. That's not something Kyler Murray is going to do. And to me, that's very difficult to win a Super Bowl with that kind of guy. Even like we've seen that with an Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is arguably the most talented quarterback to ever play this sport, and he's only won one Super Bowl. Speaks volumes.
It does. Talent-wise, you can win with Kyler Murray, but it's all the other stuff. I'm gonna fade that. I'm gonna say no on that. Stafford's already won, so I'm not gonna ask you about him. And I say no to Geno Smith. I like Geno Smith. I think you can win with him and go to the playoffs with him. I don't think you can win a Super Bowl with him. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I think Geno Smith, he's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
So here are the takeaways, folks. We did this exercise, and now here is something you can take home with you. All right. First of all, a lot more quarterbacks in the AFC that me and Johnny BTV believe you can win a Super Bowl with. I'm just going to cross off Tua and Wilson because we didn't agree on that. We agreed on Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Pat Mahomes, and Justin Herbert. 6 guys. Okay. In the NFC, there are 3 guys: Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, and Justin Fields, okay? And the fact that Justin Fields is on this list, I think, is a takeaway for people. And the fact that Johnny BTV, we just surveyed the entire NFL, okay? And we came up of the 32 teams, 9 teams have a quarterback, and obviously the Packers, who knows, but 9 teams have a quarterback that we believe you can win a Super Bowl with right now. 9 of 32, okay? What is the math on that, Johnny BTV? 23 of the 32 teams we are saying right now can't win a Super Bowl. Literally cannot. It will not happen because of their quarterback position. So that's why I wanted to do this exercise, because I had a feeling these numbers were going to be like this, where it was going to be a very small amount of quarterbacks, 9 out of 32, that we believe you can win a Super Bowl with. What does that tell you?
It's hard to play in this league. Talent isn't enough necessarily. We've seen that a lot, and I think ultimately that's why it's important for these coaches to evaluate. Quarterback is the most looked at position in sports, but at the end of the day, it is a team sport. Quarterbacks get too much credit when their team wins, too much blame when their team loses, and we've seen that, but it's unlike any other sport where that position is so heavily criticized in team successes and failures, as they shoulder both the blame and the credit. And I don't agree with it. And I think ultimately that it's something that has to change, but it does show how difficult it is to get the right guy.
9 of 32, folks. 9 of 32. Actually, it's even a smaller number than I thought it was going to be. It is Rick Kamla. It is Johnny BTV, a.k.a. Johnny Venezia. He's in for Lisa Ann tonight. LA will be back with us next week. All right, let's move to some MLB futures here on Bettor Sports Live on Bettor Sports Network. And Johnny B, I want to go, first of all, here to the National League East. and tell you this epiphany that I have had. I have really been struggling with, and obviously there's three big boys in that awesome division with the Phillies, the Braves, and the Mets. And then you've got, Washington's dreadful. I think the Marlins, they're in the wrong division to do this, but I like some of their players. I like some of the moves that they have made. But I was going to say they could flirt around with 500, but I think they're going to take a lot of L's to the Phillies, Braves, and Mets, and maybe not. But Johnny VTV, Kyle Wright, who had an amazing year last year with the Braves, is already having arm trouble. Okay. Soroka's coming back from injury, huge question mark. Ian Anderson is coming back from suctitude, huge question mark. Charlie Morton is 8,000 years old and did not have a good year last year. Strikeout wise, he did, but not efficiency and not like a guy that you felt like you could win a World Series with. Okay. And then you have Max Fried and you have Spencer Strider, who we all love. All right. You got two dudes. Okay. And then you got a bunch of question marks. What's happening for me here, Johnny VTV, is I'm looking at the Braves and I'm seeing more question marks relative to the Mets. Okay. The Mets are going to hit you with Scherzer and Verlander and Senga, who I'm picking up in fantasy leagues. I can't wait to watch. Carrasco, 15 wins last year. Quintana, super efficient last year. The Mets have a better bullpen than the Atlanta Braves. When you throw out Edwin Diaz and Ottavino and Drew Smith and Brooks Raley, who they got, David Robinson, who they got. I mean, they go all the way to the fifth inning with dudes. Atlanta has Iglesias, who's unreliable, Minter, McHugh, Matsack, and it's a good bullpen, but it's not where the Mets are. So I think the Mets got the Braves in pitching. And I think with the hitting, I think I would favor the Braves lineup a little bit, but not by much. The Braves were third in runs scored last year, JVTV. The Mets were fifth. And the Mets essentially are going to have the same offense back this year. It's based, they didn't make a whole lot of moves with their lineup. They brought in Narvaez to upgrade their catcher spot. You brought in Tommy Pham to be a utility guy, a little bit of a DH for you. But I'm with the Mets right now, Johnny VTV. Barely, like by a game or two over the Braves. So I'm on the Mets at a plus 130. If I had to play a wager in this division, I would fade the Braves at a plus 140, and I would fade the Phillies at a plus 370. Talk to me, JVTV.
I wouldn't play anything right away. I'd probably wait till about July to see what's going on here. I think realistically, there's a lot better opportunity in waiting. You know, the Mets are probably going to win 95 to 100 games. It's definitely feasible. They have a great team. It's just, it really depends when they get there. Like we've seen the Mets every year since I've been alive choke. That's what they do. And I think, you know, the fact is the numbers are too small right now. And the team that I would look at is the Phillies. You know how high I was on the Phillies last year. We got a couple games within them winning it all. And they were my big ticket. And I think ultimately what's going to happen possibly, even though the Phillies got Trey Turner, they might struggle a little bit, kind of the way they did last year. Keep their head above water, and then once they fired Joe Girardi is when they really kicked it in gear. But I could see the Phillies kind of lollygagging for the first 2 months and then start picking it up. And then obviously once Bryce Harper comes back, it should be a full go. The Phillies might have one of the best 1 through 5s in baseball with their lineup. They're going to have Trey Turner, Bryce Harper when he comes back, Nicky C, JT Realmuto, Reese Hoskins. They are loaded. And they have Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. They have Ranger Suarez, who had a really good year last year. Then if this kid, Andrew Painter, assuming he avoided a major injury and he's ready to go, they have him. They really increased that bullpen. Their bullpen should be really good. Like how it used to be really bad, this is the year where it should be really good. So I'm not ruling out the Phillies. And I think possibly there's an opportunity here. If Philadelphia kind of gets off to a slow start, maybe a little bit of a hangover, not used to playing without Harper for an extended period of time, there's going to be a buyback opportunity on them. I would not play anything right away. I'd probably look at the Phillies if I was going to do something. But like I said, I want to see how they come out before I put my money on them.
I think that's all good stuff, man. I want to give you a little bit of breaking news here in the NBA. And wow, this story right here is so annoying. Shams Charania reporting, Suns' Kevin Durant is out tonight against the Thunder, left ankle soreness. Durant slipped on the court in pregame warmups. He slipped on the court, and he's going to miss tonight's game. What are we doing here? This is the NBA. This is a $1 billion
Stop betting
entity.
basketball. Stop betting basketball. It's terrible.
Whoa. What are you talking about, man? We're Better Sports Live. We get betting advice on all this stuff. I'm not saying this like, I'm not like butthurt that I have Durant in a fantasy league or something like that. I'm like, yo, we can't get our act together to have the floor ready for the home debut of Kevin Durant. I mean, what is going on down there at Footprint Center? What in the hell? Like, I'm blown away. I mean, earlier this year, Miles Turner suffered an ankle injury in a pregame warmup, and he missed some time. But I mean, this is some bad news Bears stuff right here, man. And I mean, we were getting all set to watch Kevin Durant in his home debut tonight. That ain't going to happen. That's a buzzkill, man. That's an annoying piece of breaking news right there, JVTV.
Yeah, I listen.
My boy hits me with silence. Oh my God.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, listen, it sucks. It's a highly anticipated debut. But yet again, I mean, this is a freak thing. But imagine if you bought tickets. Tickets probably had to be pretty expensive tonight.
Oh,
even
yeah. This is KD's home debut in Phoenix, man. This was a big ticket.
And he's not going to play. And it's like, well, what do you think the Suns are going to do about it? Oh, sorry, it's not our fault. Well, I don't know. I feel like it kind of is. You didn't dry the floor well enough, clearly. It's just, it's terrible, dude. It really is.
Let me see if we have a betting opportunity on this, because I like Phoenix minus 13.5. That was with Durant. And let's see here. Where is Phoenix and OKC? It has dropped to 11.5. I want to let y'all in on a little something here. I would still bang on that. They've shaved 2 points off because Kevin Durant is out. Again, Oklahoma City does not have Jalen Williams. They do not have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They're in the second of a back-to-back. Phoenix is a juggernaut at home and overall. And all this is going to mean is more shots for DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul. So I still like Phoenix minus 11.5. All right, let's Johnny B TV. Let's catch a break right here. We're not done with baseball futures. We'll get back to them in just a little bit. But we got our colleague here at Better Sports Network, Tom Casale, and he's with the New York Post. He's with Action Network. He's an absolute beast. I have him on my Mad Dog show from time to time. JVTV, I've had you on my Mad Dog show on Saturday afternoon. But Tom Casale is big in the college basketball space, okay? So let's talk about some of the games going on tonight, some of the games tomorrow, the conference tournaments, looking ahead to the NCAA tournament. We'll talk a little football with Tom Casale as well. With Johnny Venezia, a.k.a. Johnny V TV, I'm Rick Kamla. He's in for Lisa, and we are Better Sports Live on the Better Sports Network.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Vladdy swings at the first pitch and lines it into right center.
How did a guy who was being selected in the first round pretty well everywhere last year, he proceeded to lose 33 runs, to lose 16 homers, to lose 14 RBIs, and to lose 37 points in batting average. Oh, and 184 points in OPS. He went down everywhere. How does that guy, Vlad Jr., still register as the #1 fantasy first baseman? Ahead of Paul Goldschmidt, who won the MVP last season. Ahead of Mr. Freddie Freeman, who does the same thing every year, which is hit .315 with 25 homers and 100 ribbies. Ray, it's like Vlad Guerrero Jr. had nothing to worry about. It's like they thought they were getting him and his dad, as you can see there on the photo. You get both of them when you draft him at #1. I'm just surprised, and it was not a bad season, but Ray, it was such a disappointment compared to what he posted in 2000.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair to say. Vladimir Guerrero, in 3 of the 4 years, he's been average to good. He had one spectacular season. And we keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. The positives are the lineage, positives are the skill set, positives are the StatCast data, which everything's like top 5% murders the baseball. The negatives are he has not hit 275 in 3 or 4 years. We keep talking about this too. He does not get the ball in the air. It's remarkable his ability to hit 30-plus home runs, given that he never gets the ball in the air. His ground ball rate last year was 52%.
Well, and we're asking the question, how is he still number one at first? But what catches me even more so, Ray, is the overall. I mean, he's a first-round pick overall, and I don't think he has any business in the first round. I look at his profile, and there are so many guys going behind Vlad that just have business in the first round that deserve to be there. Freeman, Machado, Bichette, Rafael Devers, I think maybe Pete Alonso. You put Austin Riley ahead of him. If he gets 310, 30, 190, he's a first rounder.
I think the play with Vlad is the batting average because he hits the ball monstrously hard. I could see him hitting 320.
Can you hit 320 with a 52% ground ball rate?
You can, but it helps if you're athletic and fast. And he's
yeah, exactly. And I get it. His hit tool's strong, Ray, and he's good. It's funny his ground ball percentage is that high because on the occasions when I get to watch Blue Jays baseball, I don't see it. I see him hit the ball. And it's not really grounders. I'm surprised the number is that high. It feels like he stings the baseball, but I guess there's just no lift overall in his game.
It's just a little tweak to his swing that could really lead to that growth back toward where he was in the home run column. And I think people, he's done it. This is not hypothetical. He did it 2 years ago and he's still just 23.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team where you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
It's Rick Kamla. It's Johnny Venezia on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. And I want to tell you how you need to get ready for the upcoming baseball season with Bettor Baseball Preview. It is from fantasy baseball to MLB betting and the newest baseball cards for 2023. You can access our exclusive content for free right now at bettorsports.com. I said free. Okay, featuring some of the sharpest baseball minds in the industry, like Adam Ronis, Ray Flowers, Kyle Elfrink, and Cody Decker. Get player profiles, prop bets, and futures, sleepers and busts, fantasy draft strategy, collectibles, and more at no cost. Register now at bettorsports.com to get instant access, plus notifications when new features are released. The Bettor Baseball Preview at bettorsports.com. One of my favorite sleepers, Johnny BTV, is your guy, Hunter Green. I am nabbing him in round 9 and round 10, and these guys have no clue that Hunter Green is going to rack up 200-plus Ks this year. They don't even know. They're unaware, and so I'm going to be stealing their money. And we have the great Tom Casale joining us right now, settling in to his easy chair in front of his computer and his microphone. He's with us at Bettor Sports Network. He's with Action Network, New York Post, comes on with me on Mad Dog Radio a lot, and he's my boy. So, Tom, first of all, it's me and Johnny BTV. How the hell are you? How are you and the fam, man?
Oh, everything's going good. This is my time of year. You know that. March is my month. I've been waiting. So a couple of days from now, the family will say goodbye to me, and I'll see them in a couple of weeks. They know. My wife is so good at this point. She's setting a meeting for Saturday morning to see what needs to be done over the next week because they know no one can talk to me.
Oh my God, that is that's so efficient. That is a very efficient household right there. All right, Tom, what do you want tonight? First of all, maybe some winners you've already cashed in. I know my Gophers are about to take on the Cornhuskers in the Big Ten tournament, in a game that very few people give a damn about. And we've got other games coming up here in the later windows of these conference tournaments. What are you on tonight, my friend?
Yeah, so earlier I had Syracuse 3.5, and I made it known that I would only play it at 3.5. I thought it was going to be a tight. Those two teams are pretty evenly matched, but if it got to over a possession, I was going to take Syracuse, and luckily they gave up that 3 at the end because they weren't going to cover in overtime. So I got lucky there. Then I took Northern Arizona tonight. Been watching the Big Sky pretty closely, and this is one of those teams that it's a little bit deceiving, their record, because they've lost a ton of close games. And, Montana State didn't shoot the ball well last night. I feel like this is going to be a close game. Hopefully you don't lose it with foul shots at the end, but I got them plus a 7.5.
Tom Casale, it's been a long time, man. Great to be talking to you again. Go back to our NBC days. And, I always knew Tom Casale was the guy. This time of year, it's his time to shine. And listen, Tom, for people like me, help me. I need a good futures ticket to be hoisting the trophies and cutting down the nets. Please help me out. Who am I taking?
Yeah, I don't got one. You know why? Because I took UCLA, then they just suffered that huge injury recently. To Jalen Clark, who's now out for the year with an Achilles, one of the best perimeter defenders in the country, really changes the way they play. This is a tough year. I have Baylor at 16-1, but they've been Jekyll and Hyde. I thought my UCLA, when I took him at 12-1, was good because that was my prediction for the last month or so, is who was going to win it. I thought they really had a lot of the ingredients, but I got to see them without Jalen Clark. It's such a huge injury. This would be my advice in this type of tournament. Look for teams who are talented but didn't live up to expectations this year, similar to North Carolina last year, who got a 9 seed and went on a run. Now, I don't know if this will be the team. I'll just use them as an example. Kentucky. Kentucky hasn't really lived up to what they were supposed to be this year. They're starting to play better towards the end of the season. Now they get in a tournament setting and none of that matters, and talent starts to take over a little bit. I just think the teams are so jumbled together that a team like that, and a team I didn't like early in the year, but I ended up taking 25-1 on them just to grab the number, was Gonzaga. And I'll say this, they are much better now than they were when I made that bet. I didn't even like the bet when I made it. I was simply betting a number. But that's a team, remember, one of the Zags' problems over the years has been they play that tough early season schedule, then they don't play a game again for 2 months because they're blowing everybody out. I think in some ways, playing more of these closer games in conference could help them this year. And with no dominant team, the Zags get a good draw. Maybe they make a Final Four run again.
Tom Casale, let me ask you about, these are top 25 teams, but they're not blue bloods and they're not, I don't know, they're good basketball programs, but I'm getting the feeling that this year, as wide open as it is, and it's hard to point to this big boy and this big boy and this big boy. Oh yeah, they were shooing for the Final Four and all that kind of stuff. But Xavier, St. Mary's, and San Diego State, do any of those teams jump out to you in terms of, yes, they could win 4 games, they could go to the Final Four, they could kind of sneak up on people? And do you agree with the overall vibe that maybe targeting some of the non-chalky teams would be a good way to go as we approach this tournament?
Yeah, I do. I haven't been nearly as high on St. Mary's as the metrics and some other people. Here's my thing with the tournament that I always look at first. You have to be able to score at least 5 of the 6 games. Like, you might have one game where, like, you have to be able to shoot the ball. Like, you can't have 2 or 3 games where you can't shoot the ball or you're going home. You have one, maybe you play good defense, you get through it. But see, St. Mary's has these games where they just go too long without scoring and they live on defense. Remember, you can say, well, what about Virginia? The year Virginia won it, they had by far and away the best offense they've ever had there. They played great defense that year.
DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, they had guys who could put the ball in the hole.
Right. And, that's, if you're going to be that kind of defensive team, another team people love is TCU. I like TCU, but they don't shoot the 3 well. They don't shoot foul shots well. So 2 out of the 3 ways to score, they don't do it well. That means they're going to have those nights where they're not ice cold. So those are the things I look at. Xavier, I just don't think plays enough defense. I feel like Xavier and Creighton are pretty close. And Rick, I have the big 100-1 on Creighton. But there's similar teams where they just don't play defense well enough for long periods of time, stretches, and I think that's going to hurt both of those teams. And what was the other one you mentioned? You mentioned Xavier, St. Mary's, and
San Diego State.
Yeah, that would be the one. San Diego State traditionally hasn't been built in March. But if you look back, one year they played Syracuse, and I've never seen a team attack the 2-3 zone worse than San Diego State. Never. That's the worst I've ever seen, and I've been following the Orange for 40 years. So they went out early there. So that's what I would look for San Diego State. On paper, they have a Final Four caliber team. You know what they need? They need some early success to get that out of their head that they've gone out early and they've stumbled. They win a game or two. That's a team, if they get to the Sweet 16, that's when I'll start really buying them, because I want them to get that mental block out of their head where they've gone out early too many times.
So, Tom, what do you think about going back to the Blue Bloods here? You got Duke at 50-1. They're 23-8, third in ACC right now. They maybe haven't had the year that they would have had, under a Mike Krzyzewski, but they're still there, man. And, they had a good win against North Carolina, even if North Carolina isn't exactly the championship winner from last year either. But do we think Duke has the pedigree, obviously? So the 50-1, is that a ticket you're definitely worth taking?
Yeah, and you're going back to my Kentucky theory. Duke would be another one of those teams, right? And these aren't particularly teams I like, but back to our NBC days, Corey Parsons was touting North Carolina last year, and I was telling them to shut up. They stink. But so it doesn't matter necessarily if I like them. I'm just telling you that's the mold I would look at this year, like a Duke, like a Kentucky, because both those teams are starting to play their best basketball right now. And that's what you're looking for. And they also have a lot of talent. So you're going to look, they're going to be matched up. You mentioned the Xaviers. There's a lot. Here's what happened, I think, in college basketball. It's the opposite of college football. The transfer portal has hurt the Blue Bloods, because remember, only 5 guys get on the court at a time in basketball. And you're seeing a lot of these guys go to your Chattanoogas, go to teams like that where they're going to play more. And I think a lot of these schools don't quite have the depth they've had in the past, because we've seen that happen in the transfer portal. A lot of these mid-major schools are getting guys from Kentucky and Duke and North Carolina who don't get on the court as much. So I think it's hurt the depth. So, again, Duke at 50-1, if you were going to say, hey, I want to take a shot, you might not like the team, but is that a good number? Yes, I would. Duke at 50-1 right now, good number.
Tom Casale breaking it down. We're talking college basketball. Rick Kamla and John Venezia, a.k.a. Johnny V TV. He's in for Lisa Ann tonight. Tom, that there are degenerates out there. I mean, bettors out there who are looking at the late night board here. And we've got a bunch of 9:30s that are about the 9 o'clocks are tipping off as we speak. We got a bunch of 9:30s out here. We got Oklahoma State. Obviously, they're both kind of scrubby teams. OU -1. We got NC State -2 against Virginia Tech. Actually, two pretty good teams there. Neither are ranked. You've got Oregon State, Arizona State late night in the Pac-12 tournament. ASU is laying 11. For those hardcore bettors who are like, they just got to have some action on these games coming up here, Tom. Do you have any vibes on any of these games? And if you don't, that's okay. We can move on to something else.
Yeah, well, Oklahoma doesn't really match up well with Oklahoma State. I'm not the it's hard to beat a team 3 times guy. I'm the guy who says if this team won twice, they got a matchup advantage. And I've already hit a few of those this week of hitting a team that's beaten its opponent 3 times. If you look at Oklahoma State has given Oklahoma a lot of trouble on the boards. They've really out-rebounded them. They defended them well. I know some of the smart money's coming in on Oklahoma, but for me, that matchup screams Oklahoma State. It's just one of those teams they can get up and guard. They can turn them over. It's the kind of game that Oklahoma State typically wins. So I would lean there. You mentioned your Gophers. The Gophers are playing a little bit better. I don't know. I know Nebraska's played well at home. I'm not ready to lay six points or so with Nebraska. That's an interesting one. But yeah, I would Oklahoma State. I would lean, and again, I took the Northern Arizona in the Big Sky Championship.
Tom Casale, always giving the breakdowns there, my man. I like when you come on, because I learned about some of these other teams that I don't normally follow. I'm a St. John's guy, and unfortunately, we're not that good. I was debating possibly going to the Big East tomorrow. So I'm actually looking at a team that I feel like hasn't really been a threat in a long time. And they were a team I knew because I love Dwayne Wade coming out of, and that's Marquette. Marquette right now, along with Creighton, that's the class of the Big East. It's weird not having Villanova as the thoroughbred there, but take me through Marquette and how they are able to possibly make a deep run in this tournament.
Yeah, Marquette's a team I really had to adjust on throughout the year because they way overperformed what I thought they were gonna, by January, and I was like, I got to relook at this team. Listen, they play hard. They play hard every night. You're not going to get Marquette too often where they don't come ready to play. So when they get teams who are maybe mentally drained or physically drained, you can say good night. Those games are over early. So if you're live betting and you see a different energy with Marquette and the other team, that's not going to stop. You can bet Marquette; they're going to blow them out. I took Creighton in the Big East only because I liked their draw. They avoided Marquette and UConn and Providence in that lower half. They have Xavier and Villanova, and that's it. So I thought, geez, to get to the championship game, they have a pretty good setup. But if they did play a Marquette in the title game, I might hedge out a little bit because I don't think they match up well with Marquette. I think top to bottom the entire season, Marquette's played the best in the Big East. I think everybody wants to love Creighton. They're not the team me and others thought they would be. I think UConn's probably the most talented team, but they don't come to play every night. From an effort and talent standpoint, Marquette has been the best team in the Big East.
Tom Casale, man, this dude is a human computer. One of the best handicappers that we have, whether it's football, whether it's college basketball. And he's on with Cam and JBTV here on Bettor Sports Live. In for Lisa Ann tonight is Johnny Venezia. Let's go to tomorrow, Tom. And again, if I'm like getting you out over your skis too far because you haven't vetted tomorrow's slate, then we can move on to something else here. But I would presume that you already have some vibes on tomorrow's games. You got Miami and Wake. Your Baylor Bears are against Iowa State. Duke plays Pitt. UCLA plays Colorado. Frankly, the matchups become a lot more intriguing. We start to get numbers to the left of team names as we move to Thursday in conference championship week. But what has caught your eye on the slate tomorrow?
Yeah, I do have two bets already. They're not the sexiest bets, but I took Siena over Niagara. Siena's lost 5 in a row, but if you look at them, 4 of those games were by a total of 8 points. The one game that wasn't, they got blown out in a revenge spot at Iona, which is understandable. But the ball bounces a couple different ways in a couple of those games. They're a 4 or 5 point favorite tomorrow. They opened up -2, so I took them there. I took George Mason getting 4.5 against Richmond. The last 2 times they played, they've been decided by 3 points. Even the George Mason coach said today that he's looking forward to playing St. Louis because it's probably going to go down to the last shot. I mean, they're just really matched up well. And you mentioned Miami, a team I like. Like I mentioned, I said I had Syracuse earlier. Listen, I took Syracuse plus 3.5 because both those teams stink. And if either team was getting over a possession, I was going to take it. I think Miami might rout Wake Forest. Now, I don't love playing the team that hasn't played against the team that has played. I know it's 5.5. I'm going to look to see where that line goes. One thing I will look at, though, is a Miami team total over. Wake Forest has no chance to stop this team. And the other thing that, listeners who might not have been following college basketball might not know is Wake Forest's second leading scorer is out for the season. So they were able to overcome that against Syracuse. I don't think they overcome that against Miami. I think Miami wins that game pretty easily.
Tom, before we let you go, we got to get your thoughts on Boeheim here, Jim Boeheim. So, a lot going on. So we got to get the Tom Casale breakdown. You got to give it to us.
Yeah, well, I've been a Syracuse fan for 40 years, so I've never seen them play man-to-man. Just the 2-3 zone. Listen, here's the thing about Jim Boeheim. The 2-3 zone playing it 100% of the time is outdated in 2023. Everybody can shoot from 30 feet away. You're not extending anything. Like they say, well, they don't have the length. Length is irrelevant. These guys can all shoot the ball now. So for him not changing his defense, I listen, here's the things about Boeheim. You're listening to all the people say all the great things about him, right? Charity, yes, there. All these wins, yes, there. Built up Syracuse program from the ground up, yes, there. All those things are true. Other things are true. He had to vacate 101 wins. There was an incident with a pedestrian that the investigation lasted about an hour. So, there's good, and he's bullied, student reporters that to be honest, were the only kids on earth who had the guts to ask him the tough questions because that soft national media, the college basketball media, never asked him any tough questions. So listen, the guy was a great coach. There's no doubt about it. It's not debatable. But with Boeheim, right up until the very end, You get the good with the bad. And that's what he brought to Syracuse. I will say this: people like me been waiting for him to go. That's not an easy place to coach. I don't know how relevant Syracuse is going to be over the next 5 years.
Wow. Great stuff, Tom. Just one more before we let you go. Johnny B and I've been talking about this and a lot of buzz all the way since Saturday. I told JVTV that Anthony Richardson, I don't usually freak out about a combine, right? I almost never do. Okay. I'm very grounded. I'm stuck in the tape of watching college football. But a guy like AR, he played at Florida running offense. I wanted to see how he measured, how he threw with the NFL type of drills. And he absolutely killed it. And so what he did, he leapfrogged Hendon Hooker for me behind Young and Stroud. A lot of people have vaulted him all the way up to the top. What did Anthony Richardson's combine do for you in terms of where you have him in the draft and how you just view him as a football player?
Yeah, his combine didn't change my thinking too much because I knew he was an insane athlete from watching him at Florida. So him testing well at the combine, here's my problem, and it's always been my problem with a guy like that going number one. If you go number one, you're probably going to play right away, right? I don't think he's there yet. So I think it's best for him if he goes to a team where he can sit for a year. Remember, Patrick Mahomes sat for a year. He played in the season finale he started, but we forget now. But there was a lot of people who thought Patrick Mahomes was pretty raw coming out of college, and he got the luxury of sitting with Andy Reid through a whole offseason, a training camp, a whole season, and then he became the starter. I think that kind of situation is best for Anthony Richardson. So a lot of these guys get thrown into the mix too soon. It ruins their confidence. Their pocket presence goes out the window, and it ruins their career. So I hope he doesn't go one. I'd like to see him go mid-first round and be able to sit for at least half a season.
That's great stuff. Tom, tell them where to watch you, listen to you, and read you, and we will send you back to the television sets and all this college basketball.
Yeah, you can get me on Twitter at the Tom Casale. I'll have a bunch of college basketball stuff in the post. I'm good to about April 1st, and you're going to give me a break for a few months. I'll be working on college football futures, and I'll see you back in August. I take the summer off.
Oh, you deserve, you earned it, man. You have. This guy's been grinding all the way since last September on football as well. Tom, you're our boy. You the man. Keep kicking ass, and we'll be in touch. Okay.
Great. Thanks a lot for having me.
That's Tom Casale right there. I didn't know that you guys went back to the NBC Sports days. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I
think we talked about that. We've been on the same show a couple times. Maybe not with you. I thought I was with you.
I don't remember that. If it happened, I mean, a lot of parties, a lot of concerts. So I don't know, but I don't think that's gone down.
I mean, you're kind of old too, so I do feel like some of those brain cells are gone, but I think Tom Casale was. I thought you knew that me and him went way back. So yeah, he's he's the guy, man. College basketball. Me, Corey, Tom. That was the golden trio.
The triumvirate. And look, man. You guys have moved on very elegantly. I'll just say that. You guys are all kicking ass. All right, Johnny B TV. Let's get back into these MLB futures. Okay. Let's talk about who's going to win it all. I wanted to give you that epiphany here on the National League East and what I was thinking about that. Let's go to who's going to win this damn thing. Who's going to win the World Series? In JVTV, let's break down the odds here. These are DraftKings, all right? Maybe a little different depending on the book, obviously. Houston at a plus 600. I went through this last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, Elisa Ann. But nothing has changed there. The Mets at a plus 750. The Yankees at a plus 750. Nothing has changed there. The Dodgers are a plus 850. They dropped by 50. They were a plus 800. The Braves at a plus 900, static. The Padres, they keep ticking down, down, down. Like I tell you all about the Phoenix Suns to win the West. Get on the Padres. They've gone from plus 1,700 to plus 1,000. Now it's plus 950. Next week, it'll be plus 850 and on and on and on. The Blue Jays at a plus 1,300. The Phillies at a plus 1,700. And I'll stop right there. Which of these wagers would you play, Johnny B TV? And I'll tell you mine in a minute.
My team to win it all, and I came pretty damn close last year. I'm going with the Mariners. Mariners are going to finish the job this year. 18-1. That's a good price on them. You get 20-1 in some spots. And I have Luis Castillo winning the AL Cy Young. I think this kid is so legit. I picked Castillo 2018 or 2019. I can't remember. Castillo was my guy to win the NL Cy Young. I said it when I watched him when he came up. This guy has the capability to win a Cy Young. And, his career kind of hit the skids. And he had to find himself. And he did that last year. He was pretty good with the Reds when he finally got healthy and he came back. He did really well against the Yankees with the Reds. Then finally, with the fire sale Cincinnati was going, he goes to a team like Seattle, who I love. You know how much I love Seattle coming into last year. And I think this is the year where we can see them, really take the next step. I think the Astros are still going to be a threat. And I think they're probably going to end up still winning the division. But the fact is, it's always about the draw. I still think Seattle can beat the Astros. The Mariners blew game 1. That changed the entire dynamic of the series. Castillo threw really well. I think it was game 2. They end up losing. But if they don't lose game 1, that's a different series. So I don't think there's any team that I'm worried about in the AL besides Toronto and Houston. I'm not worried about the Yankees. I think they are definitely a contender now with C Money Rodon there. But this is the Mariners all day for me. They have arguably the best pitching staff front to back. They have some real weapons in the bullpen. They have an absolute superstar in Julio Rodriguez. They have a loaded lineup. They added Teoscar Hernandez, who could hit 30 tanks. This is a team that we're going to have to be on the lookout for because the Mariners are the best bang for the buck right now. You're on mute.
I like where your head's at with that, Johnny BTV. Castillo, Ray, Gilbert, Gonzalez, Kirby. Damn. I mean, that's real strong. George, probably Kirby's your 4th. Marco Gonzalez is your 5th. And he gets hit, but he does win games, and he goes 6 innings, and he gets quality starts. They got a really good bullpen with Sewald and my guy Anthony Munoz, who I'm grabbing a lot of shares of in fantasy baseball drafts. I like Seattle. You're hitting a nerve with me with Seattle. I don't like them like you do, but I see what you're saying, and I'm not mad at any of that. Me personally, I'm on the San Diego Padres, JBTV. I believe they're winning it all this year. And the odds to me are still really, really good. Plus 950. We're talking basically 10-1 right now on the Pods to win it all. I mean, you think about the group they're assembling. You want to talk about a murderer's row lineup. And I'm just going kind of through the positions here, but you got Cronenworth who can hit, Bogarts, Machado, Juan Soto. Tatis is coming back on April 20th. They pick up my guy Nelson Cruz. They pick up your guy Matt Carpenter. And then obviously you've got Kim there. And Nola, but that's and they're decent, so they really don't have a hole on offense. Darvish, Musgrove, Snell, Waka was a great pickup by them very late in free agency. Nick Martinez will be their 5th. They got a badass bullpen. I'm on the Pods, so talk to me. You've got the Mariners winning it all, but the Mariners are going to have to beat somebody in the World Series. So are the Padres your team in the National League, or do you have the Mets, or do you have the Dodgers, or somebody else?
I think for the value right now, I like the Padres, and I think the Dodgers at 850. I do always have concerns about them when it comes to the postseason because they always fall flat on their face. But the thing about this is, how many times in the last 5-6 years have we seen the Dodgers at this kind of a price, even in the preseason? I can't remember too many times. And yes, they lose Trey Turner and they lose Justin Turner as well. But even with no Walker Buehler, they're a team that doesn't care. They'll go spend money and go get a rental. It doesn't matter to them. So I think the Dodgers are an interesting look here as well, even though I'm not typically sold on them. But if I had to narrow it down, I do like the Padres out of the NL. I like the Phillies. I wouldn't undersell them for their number. I think, honestly, though, I'd probably wait on Philadelphia because if they get out to a bad start, which is feasible, their number is going to drop. And then I'm going to hit you with a long shot here. Are you ready?
I'm ready, dude.
The team I think is going to have one of the best turnarounds. This is a team that every 5 years, it's almost like clockwork. About every 5 years, they're good. They're really good. But like in between, they suck. They have like 2 or 3 years where they're really good. Then they go for like a 5-year stretch where they suck. Then they come back. They have like this weird cycle. That's the Arizona Diamondbacks. This Diamondbacks team at 150 to 1 to win the World Series, I don't necessarily think they're going to. I think they're probably a year or two away. They have to get some of their star prospects. They have to get Drew Jones. They have to get Ivan Melendez up there. Those are guys that can absolutely rake. But if you look at what Arizona does have, Corbin Carroll has a lot of expectations. You have Ketel Marte. You have Zach Gallen, who's, kind of a favorite right now to win the Cy Young. You have Seth Beer. You have Christian Walker. I think this team is a sneaky roster that can contend and possibly even make the playoffs. They could be kind of like the San Francisco Giants were a few years ago. So it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying that they're going to. They're a team that I like to take a little bit of a sprinkle on. So I'm not saying that they're going to beat the Padres out by any stretch. I'm just saying keep an eye on the Diamondbacks to have a big season.
We have come, ladies and gentlemen, to our biggest disagreement of the show. And JVTV, it's not just you. I am seeing a lot of D-backs love out on Twitter and various spots. Even here in our message board. I am not feeling the Diamondbacks at all. Not even a little bit. Gallen is a stud. Merrill Kelly had a very good year last year. Will he be able to back it up with another really good year? Maybe. I'd probably bet against it. Bumgarner is cooked. Zach Davies is cooked. I don't even know who their fifth starter is. I have Nelson on my depth chart right now. Corbin Carroll's a hotshot prospect, no doubt. I love Jake McCarthy. I'm grabbing a lot of shares of him in fantasy leagues. Lourdes Gurriel, they brought him over. He's a very common player. Evan Longoria is their third baseman. He is completely cooked. Ahmed is their shortstop, as average as they get. Ketel Marte is average as they get. Christian Walker.
Marte's good. Marte's good. Let's relax. He's very undersold. He's underrated. They got Lourdes Gurriel. They got Alec Thomas, who's regarded as a high prospect. Listen, I might be a year too soon on Arizona, maybe 2 years. I wouldn't disagree with that because, to be honest, sometimes I'm a year too soon on certain teams or players, but they have a lot of young talent. And like I said, maybe it is next year. Maybe it's 2025. They have a couple studs waiting in the wings with Drew Jones and Ivan Melendez.
And that's cool. When those guys come up, we can have a different conversation. They're not part of the equation this year. Ketel Marte, okay, I just don't see it. I mean, last year, 12 homers, 52 RBI, 5 steals, hit 240, had 68 runs. Gross. That's despicable. The year before, played 90 games. The year before, it was the weird year. He had 2 home runs and 17 RBIs, the pandemic year. The year before that, he had 32 and 92, okay? Hit 329. He's had one good season in Major League Baseball. Every other season has been average or bad. I don't understand what people see in Ketel Marte, man. Maybe he's slick with the glove, and I'm missing out on the extra innings package. I'm not quite watching the D-backs that closely, but I will not give Ketel Marte any love, and I will fade the S out of him in fantasy leagues, man. But
what about Kyle Lewis? They get Kyle Lewis. Maybe he's back for a bounce back here after coming off big injuries. I don't know.
I haven't heard from Kyle Lewis in 2 years. And I was expecting him to do big stuff in Seattle, and then he crapped out. Kyle Lewis, no, I'm not feeling
Kyle
that.
Lewis had bad injuries.
Well, now it's gone on for several years now.
Pavin Smith can hit. I don't know. Listen, they have a bunch of guys. It wouldn't surprise me. How did the San Francisco Giants pull it off a couple years ago? That they went wire to wire on the Dodgers. We've seen stranger things happen. Arizona and Baltimore are two teams that I would take a look on.
You have me at Baltimore. You have me with Baltimore. I'm listening. I got the hook in the mouth. This D-backs thing. I'm going to continue to hard and aggressively fade the D-backs and fight against this resurgence. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I see the D-backs winning 75, 77 games. I think they're going to be dog.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so if the D-backs somehow won 85, 86 games, it would dramatically surprise you.
Yeah, being over 500 would surprise the living daylights out of me. Absolutely.
So it's five teams. I mean, listen, it's gonna be tough for them because you would think 3 teams from the NL East, you would think the winner of the NL Central, and then maybe one or depending on it could be 2-1-2. So Diamondbacks not making the playoffs is not it's definitely likely. I'm just saying that there's a million things that could happen. There could be key players for contenders that get hurt, and then it throws a huge wrinkle into it. All I'm saying is Arizona is they're on the climb. It just might not be this year, but I'm saying is like for their number, I don't hate looking at them for a ticket.
Okay, so you're my guy, Johnny BTV. Love agreeing with you and disagreeing with you, and just generally having a good time with you here. Johnny BTV's in for Lisa Ann tonight. She's on vacation. She'll be back next week. This is Bettor Sports Lab. I'm Rick Kamla, and I promised Johnny BTV a conversation about college baseball. I guess current and futures. So Johnny BTV is going to take us into money-making opportunities on the world of college baseball, and let's have a good time. And let's do that next, right here on Bettor Sports Network.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Calvin Ridley yesterday, he applied for reinstatement from the National Football League.
Ridley, Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence. That is crazy potent on offense.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, Ridley's great.
I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy I want in fantasy this year.
I think you're probably right. I think they're just going to get better and better. First off, Peterson's a wonderful offensive mind, a great head coach, and we've seen that and saw that this year as Jacksonville made it to the postseason. And Trevor Lawrence, anybody that questioned whether or not he could play in the National Football League or just how good he was going to be in the NFL, those questions were answered this past season as in the second half of the year. Statistically speaking, he was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's how good Trevor Lawrence is. You throw Calvin Ridley into the mix, he's going to be great. Yeah, I think Lawrence is a guy you want. I think Ridley's a guy you want. Clearly, Travis Etienne is going to be one of those early, first-round selections as well, being the dual-threat running back that he is, not only running, but also catching the ball out of the backfield, Keith, and the ability to take something small and take it to the house. Take a 5-yard dump pass, make a guy miss in the open field, and he's gone. I mean, you saw that with Travis Etienne this past season for Jacksonville. Yeah, sky's the limit. I mean, I think you're going to go from a team in the year span where you wanted no part of the Jacksonville Jaguars when you're looking at fantasy football to where you want as many Jaguars as you possibly can, because they're going to be really, really productive. And let's see if they get their tight end back as well, who had
Evan Ingram was great.
And Evan Ingram, who was great this past season.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep that whole core together, their offense is going to be one of the best in football. Like, I legitimately think that they could be one of the best offenses in football.
Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, then
and Ridley.
Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, a good offensive line, and you've got Doug Peterson being creative calling.
Right.
And you look at that division. The Colts are a mess.
Yep.
Titans
look like they're on the downslide.
Titans are on the downslide, right? That window is clearly closed. And then you got the Houston Texans.
Years away from relevancy.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville could win 11 games next year.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Lisa Ann will be back next week, and golf talk is fun with the Tour Junkies now playing with BSN On Demand. Here, David Barnett and Pat Perry discuss their upcoming trip to TPC Sawgrass, the PGA Tour's schedule changes for 2024, and preview the Players' Championship. Joe Idoni of the Preferred Lines podcast also joins the show to share his biggest storylines at the Players and best bets. Get winning golf advice and picks for daily fantasy sports and betting on Tour Junkies, now playing on demand with the Bettor Sports Network app. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to Johnny BTV and his soliloquy about college baseball, I forgot a rundown element that JV and I talked about. And in our shared affinity for a young hotshot flamethrower for the Cincinnati Reds by the name of Hunter Green with the superfluous E at the end of his name. JVTV, I am a guy that in fantasy baseball leagues, in head-to-head leagues, okay? I hate roto leagues. I love head-to-head leagues. I hit you with basically my first 8 picks are offense, okay? And I've even been going my first 9 picks offense, okay? So I basically get all of the spots filled except for one utility spot, and then I start banging pitching. And I have been amazed at all of the starting pitching talent that I love, and they're cam-vetted guys, and they've got 200K potential, whether it's a Giolito, a Barrios, a Molly, a Snell. These guys are just there for the pickings at 10, 11, 13, 14 in drafts, okay? It's working out brilliantly for me, Johnny VTV. And the first guy that I'm nabbing is Hunter Green. And I'm getting him in the 9th round. I'm getting him in the 10th round. And I'm like, do you people not understand the upside of this guy? So I got a ton of shares of Hunter Green. If he has a terrible year, I'm going to be at your doorstep, and I want you're going to have some splaining to do. I'm just kidding, of course. But I'm super invested in Hunter Green. The floor is yours, my friend. Tell people how you are investing in Hunter Green.
Yeah, that's a great point. So Hunter Green in January, right around when the football season was winding down, when I kind of had all my stuff in, and I started taking a peek at the MLB futures because, well, as you know, before the one season's over, it's a good time to start looking at the upcoming season. You know, that's when you get the best of the number. And I came to the conclusion that in my search, Hunter Green was 100-1 on DraftKings to win the Cy Young. I couldn't believe my eyes. I maxed out whatever I could get. DraftKings didn't let me get more than like $12. So, you know, I made sure I got some of it. I hit Hunter Green again at 50-1 because that was the best of the number. So at 100-1, it didn't make any sense to me. And I told it to a couple people. And, you know, when I started putting that out, then he started getting hit. And now he's down into the 40-1, 50-1 range. Basically, you have a guy who is a top 20, maybe a top 15 arm in baseball right now. He's got a fastball that profiles over 100 miles an hour. He's got a disgusting breaking ball slide piece. He's developing that changeup. And if you look at what he did, he allowed 24 home runs and 48 walks in 125 2/3 innings last year, Cam. But in his final 6 starts, it was unbelievable. He had like 35 innings, 51 strikeouts. He only walked a few guys. He only let up 4 earned runs. He really found it. This guy had 164 strikeouts last year. Even though he didn't qualify because of innings, out of every single pitcher who threw at least 120 innings, Hunter Green was top 5 in K through 9 at 11.7. So my projection is if Green can get his innings up to about 175, 180, and keep that K through 9, he's going to be in contention not only the NL in strikeouts, but the MLB. Great for fantasy purposes. For Cy Young, it's awesome. We've seen you do not need to be on a winning team in order to get Cy Young votes. Sandy Alcantara did it last year with the Marlins, 4th place. I don't even think they won 75 games. So this is the path. The number was out of whack. My fair price is 45-1. It's about that right now. And then in other opportunities, Cam, I just hammered him at 60-1 on FanDuel to have the most strikeouts this year in the majors. I couldn't believe that number. It's down to 55-1 now, but I've been telling everybody, it's laughable. How can you give a guy like Green that kind of a price? That guy is capable of striking out 250 batters if he manages to get 180 innings. He cleaned up a lot of the walks and the home runs. This is a guy who it took a while to get to the bigs. He was the 2nd overall pick in 2017. There was a lot of growing pains. And I think one of 2 things is going to happen this year with Green, Cam. He's either going to suck or he's going to be unbelievable. Either way, we're investing in talent. This kid has no shortage on talent. He has the most fastballs of 100 miles an hour since the start of last year. I think he has over 150 more than the next guy. This guy is legit. I cannot believe my eyes. If you can't get Hunter Green, who, by the way, that 60-1, 55-1 is double the price of everywhere else. His value is incredible. Maybe he face plants this year. The talent and the potential this guy has, he is worth a shot.
JVTV, I just looked up his strikeout future. I don't know if you've seen that. Take a guess. Well, what do you think his strikeout future is? The over-under on that.
They're probably going to lowball him because they don't think he's going to do the innings. I would say their number is going to be 185.5 on him. I think it should be higher, but they're going to lowball him.
It's close. 191.5 is the DraftKings number on K's for Hunter Green. I like the over on that a lot. I think he's a 200 strikeout guy. I'm drafting him to be a 200 strikeout guy. As you said, he profiles the build of his career is towards being a 200 strikeout guy. He's got 200 strikeout guy stuff. So you feel pretty good about the over on 191.5?
Yeah, for sure. I think Hunter Green. So obviously a lot has to go in his favor, right? But I think, you know, if he can translate the end of last year to this year, he's got 250 strikeout potential. This kid can lead the league this year. He can win the Cy Young. There's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, we're at 191.5. I like the over on that quite a bit. All right, Johnny BTV, talk to us about some college baseball, man. Take us into that. How can we make money on college baseball?
College baseball is difficult. It really is. But it's, if you know what you're doing, it's easy to beat the books because they are not too keen. They're not too sharp on this sport. But, you know, throughout the year, they're going to get some sharpness on it. But all right, futures wise, in my opinion, there's really only 6 or 7 teams that could win. Tennessee, LSU, Stanford, Florida, Wake Forest. And I don't think Ole Miss could get it done this year. I don't think Vanderbilt can get it done. I think Arkansas does have a chance. But it's all about finding the correct value. So, for instance, today I couldn't believe my eyes. The Campbell Camels of North Carolina, small mid-major school, they probably aren't going to win. But they were 300-1 on DraftKings. They came down to be 100-1 pretty much overnight. You could still get 300-1 on Caesars. This team, if they get a good draw, can make the College World Series. So if you're able to get that kind of a price on that team at 300-1, that's a ticket you have to take. I took it today. But in terms of realistic expectations, I think Tennessee, where you could get 7-1, they're a daddy wagon. They have, in my opinion, the best pitching prospect in over 10 years. The hype that Garrett Cole should have got and Steven Strasburg got is what he should get. His name is Chase Dollander. He should be the number 1 pick, in my opinion. If not, he's going to be the number 2. First pitcher off the board taken. This kid is the most polished pitcher I've ever seen at that age. 4 pitches, throws them all for strikes. Incredible mechanics, command, presence. He's got it all. This kid is legit. If he doesn't win at least 2 Cy Youngs in his career, it was a disappointment. Next year, they have another kid coming up right behind him, Chase Burns, who's probably going to be a top 3 pick. Tennessee is still a great team, even though they might not be as good as last year. The other team that I really liked, and I was talking about them before the Super Bowl, Wake Forest at 40-1. They came down 2 days later after I had a podcast on them. Wake Forest has arguably the most playmakers and deepest team in the country that includes against LSU. They have 2 guys that might be able to win the Golden Spikes winner and the National Pitcher of the Year with Rhett Lauder, who's probably a top 10 pick, Nick Kurtz, the first baseman who could hit 30 home runs this year. Their 1 through 5 could be the best in college baseball. I got them at 25-1. They're down to 15-1 now. I still think there's value in that because Wake Forest is only going to get better. Then you have a team like Florida who they are really good. They're like Wake Forest, but the one problem with them is their bullpen is very questionable. They have a kid who, in my opinion, who might be a top 5 pick this year. He could be a top 3 pick. His name is Wyatt Langford. I watched him a ton last year. He was awesome. When I look at him, when I watch him, I see Mike Trout. I see Mike Trout from over 10 years ago. Wyatt Langford, unbelievable. Then they have this kid, Jack Caglione, who a lot of people have probably heard of by now, just being on the internet. Florida didn't really play him that much last year. He was a rotational guy. This year, he's full-time. He's the number 3 hitter, and they started pitching him like they didn't do last year. He's leading the league in home runs with 12, and he throws 98 miles an hour as a lefty. 6'5", big boy from Tampa. This kid has right now the makings to be the Golden Spikes winner, and the way he's playing, not only can he carry Florida deep into the postseason, but he might be the number 1 overall pick next year in the top 3 with Vance Honeycutt from North Carolina and Chase Burns from Tennessee. So those are the teams that I would definitely look at. Wake Forest right now being the best bang for your buck at 15-1.
Woo! I like it a lot, Johnny VTV. And you think about college baseball, there probably is not. I mean, the NFL is so public. The NBA is so public. At this point of the season, college basketball is so public. College baseball is a little bit under the radar, man. So with a sharp mind like you, a little bit of cash, these people can go out there and make some money, man. So let's get back to the NFL and some of the splashy news that has come down over the last day or so with what's left in our show here, Johnny B TV. And I want to talk to you about the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes, okay? Cardinals reporter Mike Jurecki reports that the Cardinals, quote, have parameters to trade Nuke Hopkins more likely after free agency starts, which is right around the corner about a week from now. Jurecki adds that the Cardinals are looking for a second-round pick and a conditional pick or player in return for their star wide receiver. So the price tag to come and get him is not crazy, which is very conducive to him moving to another team and us getting a pretty quick resolution to this. NFL Network reports that Hopkins will be, quote, flexible on the last 2 years of his contract. Rappaport noted that he would not necessarily be looking for top-of-the-market money, and he's on the books for $19 million this year and $15 million next year, which for Nuke Hopkins, I don't think is like crazy money. I would pay that happily to have Nuke in my program. So, Johnny V TV, I went to my NFL depth chart, and I've got it all siloed by RB1, RB2, RB3, wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, and the whole thing. And so, I don't just put a guy at wide receiver 1. If you've got a wide receiver 1, then he goes there. If you don't, then there's a vacancy, okay? So the teams that need a wide receiver 1, in my opinion, are the Kansas City Chiefs, the New York Giants, the New England Patriots, the Chicago Bears, the Tennessee Titans, and the Baltimore Ravens, okay? Again, teams that need a number 1 wide receiver, not just a receiver, but a number 1. Chiefs, Giants, Pats, Bears, Titans, and Ravens. And Johnny B TV, I want the Chiefs are number 1 on my list here. I sort of power rank these teams based on how good they are, their need for a wide receiver, or how this wide receiver Nuke Hopkins would fit. Can you imagine? And think about this. They did not put the franchise tag on left tackle Orlando Brown, which was a bit surprising. The right tackle Andrew Wiley is a free agent as well. We know that Juju Smith-Schuster and Mecole Hardman are free agents as well. So I believe, Johnny V TV, that maybe, just maybe, and Hopkins has been linked to the Chiefs. Maybe, just maybe, they did not tag Orlando Brown thinking that, all right, we'll make it work with our offensive line. But we need we need, after going a year with making it work with less, after Tyreek Hill and all that, we need to get back into the rich wide receiver market here and actually get a big boy for Pat Mahomes. So that's kind of how I'm reading this. I could see Nuke Hopkins in a Chiefs uniform. The Orlando Brown move might have been a precursor to him going there. How do you see the Nuke Hopkins market going forward this offseason?
Yeah, this is difficult because, DeAndre Hopkins is going to be on the move yet again. And I'll be honest, I thought with all the injuries he was compiling, I kind of thought that his best years were behind him. And then he comes out when he gets healthy again, and he started pumping 100-yard games. And I said, okay, we've got a little something left. So I'm in agreement with you. I'm going to throw another team into the wrinkle here. It's going to sound weird at first. I think the Chargers need to take a look at this guy because there's a good chance Keenan Allen could be a cap casualty. They're talking about letting Keenan Allen go. As much as I love Mike Williams, he kind of just does one thing, and he misses a lot of games. So I think a team like LA, especially if they lose Keenan Allen, can use DeAndre Hopkins, who could still profile as a wide receiver 1 right now. I think maybe he's got one more year left as a wide receiver 1. I would probably put those teams in there. I just don't know if DeAndre Hopkins is going to want to go there. He hasn't been on a team that he's going to win. So I think a team like the Chiefs does make sense. I don't know if him going to Chicago makes sense unless they really break the bank for him. I feel like at this stage of his career, a guy who's never won is going to want to go to a contender. He's made his money. And I think maybe he would take a little bit less to go to a better team and have a chance to make a run in the postseason.
I think that's why we're getting these reports that he he's on the books for the 19 and the 14 over the next 2 years. But I think what that report is that he's willing, he doesn't want top of the market money and all this kind of stuff. I think he would be willing to restructure with the team that traded for him, because I agree with you. I think Nuke Hopkins is like, yo, I want a ring. And I want to win. I want to be with a winning program, and I don't want to be with a pouted up little brat quarterback like Kyler Murray. Like, get me with an adult, please, that can throw me the football. Nuke Hopkins is one of the best possession receivers the league has ever seen. And even if he's never been a go route guy, right? He's always been a great traffic catcher in the red zone and a possession receiver. And he's got a little yak to him, and he can make you miss and break off a run and that kind of thing. But he's never been that Tyreek Hill Greyhound type of guy. So I think that will make him last longer in this league. But I'm fascinated with where Nuke Hopkins goes next. I think the Chiefs, I mean, my God. Like, if you are Nuke Hopkins and you want all of that, right? You want a great team. You want, a chance to win a championship. Like, why would you go anywhere other than Kansas City? They're in the midst of a dynasty right now. They don't have a dynasty yet. Johnny B. TV, I don't know if you're one of these new media types that want to change the definition of a dynasty and start giving dynasties out before we should, which drives me crazy. You got to get three chips to start the dynasty conversation.
I think three chips in 6 years, I would consider a dynasty.
I mean, You got to have at least three, though.
Before we run out of time, let me ask you, DeAndre Hopkins, let's say he goes to Kansas City. What rounds? Where are you drafting him in fantasy this summer?
Where am I drafting Nuke Hopkins? I would feel good about drafting Nuke in the second round as a Kansas City Chief. We're looking at 90-plus grabs, probably 1,100-plus yards. With Mahomes, he's racking up double-digit TDs. So I'd be looking at him in the second round. How about you?
I'd probably profile as an early third. I do think he has one more elite year left. I just get worried the age is starting to catch up to him a little bit. And, it's tough for receivers to stay healthy and play 17 games. I do think he would have a big season. I think double-digit touchdowns is not out of the question. I do think 90-plus catches is in play there, 1,000 yards. So I do think he could crack top 12, top 15 wide receiver status. Definitely wide receiver one for sure.
Johnny B. TV, we're running out of time here. I wanted to check a couple of my props. Wait a second. Oh, my God, Kyrie Irving for the win. Let's go, baby. It's late fourth quarter here, Mavs and Pels. 26.5 for Kyrie. Johnny B. TV, he had 6 points early in the third quarter. He has 27 points. He hit an over for us tonight. That's a winner. We got a winner with Kyle Kuzma, Johnny B. TV, and Ricky Props here. We had him over 22.5. He hit for 25. And we have Pascal Siakam right now at Denver. Let me check that box score and see where my guy. No, that game hasn't tipped off yet. It's Toronto at the Clippers, and it'll tip off in about 10 minutes. So we're trying to go 3-0 tonight on these prop bets, Johnny V TV. But you, the man, I enjoyed the hell out of this, my friend. Hope we can ball again together soon.
Me too, man. Thanks for having me. Let's do it again, and we'll talk soon.
That is Johnny Venezia, a.k.a. Johnny B. TV. I am Rick Kamla. He's been in for Lisa Ann. Me and Lisa Ann will be back together again next week on Bettor Sports Live on Bettor Sports Network. Huge shout-out to our guests, Tanner Kern and Tom Casale, and our producers behind the glass doing an awesome job playing Slipknot for your boy, Anthony Rivera and Tyler Soto. We love you all. Mwah, 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 mwah. We'll see you next Wednesday with Lisa Ann on Bettor Sports Live.